does your Pokedex send a Pokemon?
Oh, yeah. What kind of Pokemon you got?
We've got the red one, the turtle thing, plant turtle thing. I want a Charmander. Its red flames are like the flames of my namesake.
And I want a Squirtle, because I'm a dick.
Wait, what? I mean, it says it right on the screen.
Hey, Red, why don't we battle right now? I mean, I'd hate to trounce a beginner, but you're gonna have to learn about defeat someday, right?
You're a beginner too!
That's not true. I'm on an entirely different level. I've got the skills and reflexes of a pro.
Think fast.
I was not ready for that.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rolling 20s. We are the show that says, forget Star Wars Episode 7. When are we going to hear about Spaceballs 2? I am Jeremy.
I highly agree. And Steve. Jesse.
And V.
Remember, you can subscribe to this show and several others in the MSP library at missionstarpodcast.com. You can follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes and on Stitcher. Follow us on Twitter at the Rolling 20s. You can send us any fan mail, suggestions for the show, or hate mail at mspfreight@yahoo.com. At the beginning of the show, the theme music you heard was by Machine Supremacy. You can find most of their discography for free download at machinesupremacy.com, as well as their latest couple of albums at amazon.com. The clip you heard at the very beginning of the show was Pokemon Rivals by Octopimp. You can subscribe to his channel on youtube.com. It's finally starting to cool down in California. Oh
Yay,
my gosh.
finally.
Yeah, and it's going to heat up next weekend.
Yeah, it's gotten cooler here too.
And we're finally getting a climatic shift. It's long overdue. But there's been all kinds of weird and interesting rumors that have popped up in the last week. New York Comic Con was last weekend.
Uh-huh.
They had a very aggressive prop policy. If it even resembled a club or sword, it was being removed and thrown out.
Huh.
Yeah, if you take a look, there are Vine and YouTube videos full of just attendance of New York Convention Center with trash cans full of props that they're taking out to the dumpster. And it almost looked like a seizure from the world's worst nerd fight. I mean, I saw like Cloud's Buster Sword, spiked clubs, staffs, not even like quarter staffs, just staffs with like ornate heads on them and everything. And they had some very specific rules that they were following.
Did they announce this beforehand?
I mean, it's posted on the website, but they enforce much stricter rules than any other convention I've been to. And the really unfortunate part is this has now become the biggest comic book convention in the U.S. They have over 151,000 people according to their website this year.
I imagine they'll have less cosplayers next year.
Yeah. I don't know what commerce is like there. It definitely seems like cosplay is a bigger deal out at New York, but it may not be as big a deal now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about this. Okay, you're doing a comic convention. No one can bring Loki's staff. Well...
Yeah, that would be a huge no-no. I saw stuff tamer than that thing in those garbage cans.
I guess you could bring Captain America's shield.
But it has edges.
I know.
So, who only knows?
It's aggressively red, white, and blue. No, it's just red and white.
Yeah.
It doesn't have blue.
It
it does have blue in the
colors.
center star. It has blue around the white star.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. Well, this week we're going to discuss Captain America 25 and Thor number 1, where massive changes to characters both take place. But we're also going to recap a lot of the news that happened in New York Comic Con a couple weekends ago. I only have one crowdfunding project, and it's one that we've had whispers of for a while. That's the Accents Wear cat ear headphones.
I'm thinking about picking one of those up.
Yeah, me too.
You're really... I'm contemplating it, and the worst part is I don't really know why. It's not like I have a terrific use for them.
Yeah, me too.
I just want to bring it to work and rock out while I'm working.
They're nifty headphones, though. They are cat-eared headphones with LED lights in them, and they're speakers in the cat ear, so you can have your music playing in your earphones and externally for anyone else to annoy. This whole thing has been done by, to you. To me, it's called convention life. This is being done by Accent Wear. The campaign started on October 8th. It has 19 days to go and ends on November 7th. Has 7,258 backers. The goal to get their prototypes going was $250,000. Currently sits at $1,156,656. They made $300,000 in the first day this was available.
Damn. Yeah, I knew it was going to be one
Not
of those.
surprised.
Yeah, the retail or the special for the crowdfunder is that for $150 you'll get a pair of the headphones. I imagine they're usually $200. If you donate $575, you'll get a pack of all 4 colors available. At $10,000, you'll get a custom LED super pack, a one-of-a-kind pair of headphones with prismatic or gold paint, and all the LED lights will change colors actively.
Huh. Damn.
Or you can pick which color you want them to be. I don't have $10,000 to spend on a pair of cat ears. It's one of those things where I almost want to ask if the ears are removable, not because I want them to be, but simply because it'd make it a little bit more general purpose for those days you're not actually in the middle of a rave.
Or if you need to replace them for some reason, like damaged or whatnot.
Yeah, that could be helpful.
Yeah, that would also be a point. So it's the only question I have. I doubt it's something that's going to be answered on the crowdfunder, though.
It'd be interesting if they're set up with they're plugged in via audio jacks.
I don't know. I would laugh myself stupid if this is the new thing that NFL players are wearing in commercials. That would be awesome. From there, we'll move directly into video game news. The first one I have is one that I guess any long-term player of Halo should expect. Do you remember that when they came out with the remastered Halo for 360, it had a couple extra features added to it?
Mm-hmm.
They're doing the same thing with the Master Chief Collection for Halo 2 on the Xbox One. They'll add new panels that you can activate that'll give a little more backstory to the villain of Halo 4 and 5. I forget what that guy called himself. Well, actually, the terminals in Halo Anniversary set up comic panels for Halo 4. The terminals added in Halo 2 are going to focus on the Arbiter, the new character that was introduced in that particular game.
Right.
So at least there's a little bit of something added for players. And there's a new trailer for Assassin's Creed Unity. It's almost 3 minutes. Do we want to go through it?
Sure.
Okay, there's the video. And it starts out with the usual warning about mature, which means we shouldn't watch this at all.
Hey, I'm annoyingly mature.
The hood is a bit sinister, though, if you don't mind my saying.
Napoleon.
It is sometimes hard to remember how easy life was before the world changed. Now people are starving in the streets.
I still have yet to really get into any of the Assassin's Creed games, but my wife has been going crazy about them.
I haven't played any of them yet either. I intend to, but I don't know.
She adores
I own the
period.
first one.
Yeah, she adores like European period stories, and they're not really my speed.
He gave his life fighting for the liberty of all mankind.
Are you prepared to travel the Eagle's path?
Oh, this is very cinematic so far.
The costume design on these games are brilliant.
Amongst the chaos.
Probably why I see so many people dressed up as them everywhere.
Yeah.
This is why I joined the Brotherhood. For revenge. For redemption.
Like, I'm actually finding myself paying more attention to
The video.
the
Or
costumes than the plot.
You're the only one who can save the Brotherhood?
We can, together.
I will say, in looking at the story of these games, they always seem to deal with the very darkest of like regimes through history.
I want to help you.
Well, that is kind of the perfect place to play. Wow, I cannot talk this week.
Assassin.
Plant an assassin.
Yeah.
We've been betrayed from within.
Dude, you get splinters from that.
I have to do this myself.
Explosions even, eh? Seems like every one of these games is just... They're kind of making the point of, you don't need Batman, you have us.
Well, this is their competing franchise to the Batman games, I would think.
I suppose so. I don't know. I can't say I'm in for sure, but I'm sure the game will be in my closet simply because my wife has pre-ordered it.
I'm curious.
I may look over her shoulder a bit. There has been some consternation about the game, though, because it's been reported that the game on PS4 and Xbox One will run at 900p at 30 frames per second. There's been an interesting backlash in the gamers community saying you dumbed it down for the Xbox One, to which Ubisoft said, we didn't dumb it down, this is what it is.
That doesn't sound promising.
Who knows? I think that's less of an importance than a lot of people seem to.
Yeah. Now, what's it going to run on PC? Is that still going to allow you to go up to 1080p, or is that 980p? I couldn't say. The
particular story was only about the console versions.
Because console users don't get a choice. They pretty much get what the game runs in, but PC users have always had it kind of nice and being able to pick their own resolutions and whatnot.
Yeah, they like to think they get a choice, but realistically, I don't know. Are you guys familiar with Tiny Screen?
No.
I found out about this a couple weeks ago. I'm going to send you guys a link to the story I found on Kotaku. This is about the world's tiniest handheld console. It's one of those things that I would find incredibly frustrating, but is also extremely adorable. This is a functioning handheld console.
This is stupid.
It's cute.
Lord.
I
don't know what you would possibly need this for. Well,
it's $75 and a waste of money is what it is.
It's... I don't know. It's
the first comment says it all.
Well, the Kickstarter is actually for the monitor itself. The monitor is the crowdfunder. You can just use it as part of this mini console rig. The crowdfunder actually has 5 days left in it, and it had a goal of $15,000 to get started. It's sitting at $106,956. How big is this screen?
It is 96 by 64 resolution.
Huh.
And it is less than an inch across.
That is insane.
It does have multiple uses. Not all like not consoles, I would say, but at least as far as other forms of technology. That's interesting. I can't believe somebody spent time putting that together, though. This is done by Ken Burns of Akron, Ohio.
Wow. Nope. I will not be buying such a product.
Well, the consumer version of Oculus Rift is more than a few months out. Designers are working right now to try and make it a more comfortable device.
That'll be you.
Well, I've worn it. It doesn't have integrated headphones as of yet, but it is a very nice visual device. It's not the best looking thing I've ever seen, but it's new technology, so it's not going to be very.
You're not going to be looking at it from the outside, though.
Preferably not, but I don't think you want people walking by you and looking, wondering what kind of goofy rig that is either. It's the unfortunate part of marketing. It has to look good inside and out. Who is this? Oculus VR's Chief Executive Officer, Brendan Uribe, said, quote, "To get comfort right is a really big challenge. We're just at the point now where we're confident that we're there, and it'll be not too far from now," unquote. It'll be nice to see this thing out, and I just hope people use it properly. There's been some really good innovations out there, including like the Kinect, that have just not really clicked with people. And VR's been tried before, but it seems like this time around they have it right. Let's see. Have you guys heard about the video game collection by Real Big Fish?
No.
Mm-hmm.
You mean the band?
No, he's an eBay user.
Okay. Must be a fan of the band.
Well, he's trying to sell his video game collection. A complete licensed set of NES games, 835 total, 64 unlicensed NES games, a lot of homebrew and unofficial releases, 784 total GameCube games, including 558, the complete collection of 558 games ever released for it. He's also doing the Sega Master System, a total of 115 games, every North American release there's been for it. He's selling all of these altogether in one block for $164,000 on eBay.
Okay.
That's a bit ambitious considering what it is. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff and it's very nifty and everything, but I don't know if these collections are now worth $164,000.
No.
There's not a huge call for them. So it's all a matter of what people will pay for it. And this collection, there's probably some expensive pieces in there, but altogether, I don't think they're worth $164,000. He is selling them. He's selling the game collection. He doesn't say anything about selling the consoles. I don't know if I did price something like that. I'd say it's probably closer to current dollars. $7,000 would be as high as I'd go on that. What do you think?
7,000?
It doesn't really interest me.
Yeah.
$7,000 for a complete collection of Master System, Super Nintendo, and Nintendo games. Super Nintendo, Nintendo, GameCube, and Sega Master System.
Yeah, it doesn't mean a whole lot to me since I don't own those systems anymore.
I do. Well, not the Master System, but I still have Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis.
Still need to get my GameCube back from my old friend from high school.
Yeah, I never owned one.
Do that.
I never owned one either.
Has anybody here ever played a game and died from dysentery?
No.
What's the story?
I want to know.
You remember Oregon Trail?
Yes.
Yep.
You could die from dysentery in that game.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
Okay.
Well, an ex-Bioshock developer are making an arty version of Oregon Trail. They're calling it The Flame and the Flood. Which just sounds creepy. It's already in crowdfunding. It has 18 days left in it. It has 5,399 backers. The goal to get this started was $150,000. Currently sits at $180,393. A lot of people want to buy some oxen, apparently. It's called Cuban Meet Oregon Trail, and I don't quite know what that has to do with anything. This is really bizarre. You get to journey down rivers and and go to villages, establish colonies, and try to survive.
I'd like all those things.
It's weird.
I never actually got to play the Oregon Trail very much.
It was a slow-ass typing game that was basically all you could do in class when you had a few free minutes and didn't want to drive everybody else insane.
Would be my first video game.
Well, Nintendo's finally had its first hit in a long time. Smash Brothers 3DS, they sold 2,800,000 copies of the game.
Yep.
About time they had a win. Although it's still kind of troublesome that their biggest win is one game that was kind of an in-house game. They still haven't had a serious third-party game come through in a long time.
Well, they have so many regulations on them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So many requirements. Although a lot of people are complaining a little bit right now about Smash Brothers for the 3DS. If you play one-on-one in a mode called For Glory, there is an inordinate amount of people playing as Little Mac in the game. From the Punch-Out series.
Oh, yeah.
It's some kind of weird one-on-one fight. I'm not familiar with the mode. But in playing the mode, a lot of people, even new players, are playing Little Mac and dominating.
Little Mac has a one-hit KO.
I don't know. It doesn't elaborate here as to what For Glory mode is. Yeah, I guess for fun, there's no ranking. In For Glory, there are ranked battles. Again, don't know the details, but a lot of people are really regretting Little Mac right now. How about the new Star Wars arcade game? Have you heard about this one?
No.
There is a new Star Wars arcade game coming. YouTube, it's about 6.5 minutes.
Shoot.
Sure.
Okay, so you want it. I wasn't sure wasn't sure what the silence meant.
I'm just waiting for you to get to the point.
Well, for all I knew, it meant screw you guys. I'm going home. There it is.
There was a question.
It's called Star Wars Battle Pod, which I think they need to change that name because my first thought is, oh my god, pod racing again. Run fast.
I like pod
appears
racing,
to be an
at
immersive.
least the first 100 times I saw it.
Actually, they appear to call it Battle Pod because this looks like it's a long curved screen. It's meant to take up your peripheral vision.
Oh, it's those old school like flight simulating cabinets.
Not old school, because an old school cabinet had one small monitor in your face and a whole bunch of switches. This has one monitor.
East Fighter Combat in one of those?
Yeah, like I said, one small monitor and a whole bunch of decoration. This is one huge monitor taking up all of your view. I mean, it does look like this thing would sit and take up all of your peripheral vision. You would see the whole thing.
Damn.
This is crazy. And it also looked like you actually have some directional control, whereas the last game of this nature for Star Wars was a rail shooter.
It almost seems like it's still a rail shooter. Oh, no.
No, she's taking some serious turns. Oh, no, I think that's a he.
Yes, that's a he. He has a beard.
Wasn't sure. He screamed like a girl at one point. And now he's complaining that it's fast.
Fast is a good thing.
This is pretty impressive, though. I could sit down and play this for a while.
Yeah,
I wonder what the price tag's going to be, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. This if you don't find this at one of those places that has like a card for 20 minutes to play, I can imagine this being like $2 to $3 per play. Easily.
It feels like a giant Oculus Rift.
The guy just said it feels like a giant Oculus Rift.
It pretty much is.
I don't know about that. Because he's not whipping his head back and forth. I said follow me, not shoot.
So far, so good.
Oh, and he just got to the destroy the exhaust port mission. Does this mean the whole time you're going to be bouncing around trying to keep people from getting in behind you? Look, shooting up Darth Vader's TIE fighter. His torpedoes are away, and they made that unnatural 90-degree turn. Why is an exhaust port sucking things in? That's pretty nifty, I must admit. Where's my medal, really? That's almost like yelling, "Where's my girlfriend?" And it does appear to have more missions.
Princess is in another castle.
There are more missions here. He just got to pick between Endor and Death Star 2, and he chose Death Star 2. Looks like in this case you're going to fly the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, crap.
And welcome to the bus. At least it has throttle controls, too. Oh, this takes you from the beginning of it. You actually took off from the carrier and you're going through hyperspace. Does this mean as soon as you get to the Death Star and realize the shields are up, you're obligated to drop a load on yourself?
And these guys are loading skating pretty well.
Did he just fly through debris or something else?
Somebody dropped their load.
This does look like the kind of game that that a lot of fans would want to play, reliving certain things. Including the Death Star suddenly activating its laser and blowing a carrier out of the sky.
That's when you drop a load.
I agree.
Do you think that at that moment suddenly you hear Admiral Akbar on the radio, "It's a trap!"
No, I just hear it's a tarp. Because that's what it has become now.
This is very interesting. I'd like to see what the other modes can do. I'd also like to know, are these things at all interconnected? That would be fun as hell.
Oh.
If you could have 2 or 3 connected to the same server, that would be fun. Although it would be a little bit of hell because you'd have nerds trying to yell through plexiglass all the time.
Hmm.
Low power. I assume that means shield power. Oh no, it's laser power. Okay, my mistake. Oh, and he got the mission alert for the main reactor. Okay, Jesse, I think you're right. There does appear to be some rails active here. It's looser than the first one, but...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was rails because the screen looks like it's flying sideways.
That's why I assumed it was off rails, because he seemed like he was screwing this up pretty well. And he screwed up. He flew through the reactor.
Whoops.
I tried hitting my special, but that wasn't happening.
See, if I recall, the Millennium Falcon could barely fit through all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Video's over. I didn't expect to sit there that long, but that was interesting to look at. I wonder when that's expected to be released.
I don't know. It looks like it's pretty finished.
There was a limited time preview at Dave & Buster's in Manhattan until November 2nd, so it's not out wide yet. I expected to hear more on Twitter if this thing was actually out. It's interesting, though. The game also features a special Vader's Revenge special stage, where Vader tries to detonate a Death Star laser core before the Rebels can acquire any sensitive info from the destroyed space station. Oh, a special grudge match with Darth Vader. Okay. Last bit of...
grudge match?
Yeah, Vader grudge match, yeah. Last bit of video game news I have is that there's going to be new playable races and a level cap increase and possibly airships in Final Fantasy XIV's first expansion, Heaven's Word. There's going to be a new level cap from 50 to 60 across all jobs and professions, new areas, new player race with both male and female characters, multiple new jobs, new primals, one of which is completely unique to Final Fantasy XIV, more than 3 or 4 new dungeons, new high-end raids, new airships, and new gears and recipes.
It sounds like an expansion.
Oh yeah, it sounds like an
expansion.
At least people are getting what they want. The game's not sitting stagnant. From there, we'll bump into Marvel media news. First one I've got is that there's a rumor for Avengers 3 of characters not returning, and some people are speculating a crossover event. We've discussed this a little bit before due to the idea due to the news that Dave Bautista is reworking his contract for a new multi-movie deal. There seems to be mention that the Thor, Black Widow, Captain America, and the Hulk may not be returning for Avengers 3. Because, as they put it, that Thor and Captain America may be contending with the end of their own trilogies.
Oh, well, I guess that makes sense.
It does.
Well, I know that Captain America is hanging up the shield after his movies, but is Chris Hendricks?
Chris Evans.
I know, I meant Thor.
Oh, Hemsworth.
Hemsworth. Where did they... Oh. I combined 2 different actors' names to one.
That was amazing. He created the stepchild of Thor and Captain America. I can't even imagine what that sex would look like.
Oh my god.
Well, Newsarama is still saying Robert Downey Jr. has said that he is in Captain America 3. They said, that's it. This is where it's happening. It's a civil war. And it's like, fuck, calm down. You know, for all we know, Tony Stark may be just making an appearance to bury Captain America at the end of the movie. Well, like I said, I have my theories, they have theirs, but they're saying that this just means that they're right. You know, it's going to be the Civil War. I still say that you really shouldn't have Civil War without at least Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Spider-Man was
that would be good.
Part of it. Yes, Spider-Man was a central part of that conflict on both sides.
I think I actually remember that, believe it or not. Like, not directly from people talking about it.
Well, it made national news when he revealed his secret identity.
When he took off that mask?
Yep. And Jameson fell out of his chair.
It was an interesting moment, but it opened up all kinds of new story possibilities. They were just too quick to put it away. A veteran actor named Martin Donovan's been added to the cast of Ant-Man, but they haven't said what he's doing, other than the fact that it's a pivotal role. I don't know Hank Pym's pantheon well enough to be able to tell you what a pivotal role for this man could be.
Yeah.
So I'll leave that up to speculation. Michael B. Jordan, the guy who's playing the Human Torch, or I guess you could say the Black Human Torch in the new Fantastic Four movie, says he likes being the underdog. And they're making a grounded superhero film. He says, quote, "You really care and get to know the characters a lot. You get a feeling like you're discovering the characters at the same time they're discovering themselves," unquote. That's a fine sentiment, but we've already been through two official Fantastic Four releases, one movie that's never been released. You got to do more than just discover the characters with us.
Yeah.
You know, they either got to be super or they got to stop.
They have to be interesting.
Absolutely. And they failed to do that in the last two films. Part of that had to do with Jessica Alba, I think.
Yeah, she can't act. Not
really, no. And she refuses to take off her clothes, so she just leaves us with no possibilities for entertainment.
Right.
There is a report that Fox is working on a potential live-action X-Men TV show.
Huh. I think it's interesting, but I assume not with the movie cast.
I would assume not as well. Take it with a huge grain of salt because we don't know anything, but there's a rumor that says Fox is in deep development on a live-action X-Men TV series. I guess my question would be, does Fox have the rights for a live-action TV show? Movies, I understand. Do they have the rights to TV?
I have no idea.
So, I mean, it would have to be a standalone show. There is absolutely no chance they could get any of those actors to sit down in TV long enough. Then again, Fox also took this shot back in the 90s because they were the ones who brought out Generation X, which tanked beyond tanked. So, I don't know where they're going with this, and I kind of hope they don't do it at all. Robert Downey Jr. is flip-flopping back and forth on a few things. He said recently on a taped episode of Ellen DeGeneres that he is working on Iron Man 4. Something new to come out, considering I don't know anybody that's actually said anything from the studios about Iron Man 4.
Yeah.
Other than that might be a thing.
Well, it's a shift from a few weeks ago, because if you remember, he said that there were some negotiations going on, and prior to that, I think he said there were no negotiations going on. So what the fuck is it? Or is he just handling his own press again?
Wouldn't put it past
I don't know. Yeah. Well, there's something else here that you have to take with another grain of salt, and a serious one. There's word from HitFix, who first reported the rumor, that Sony is in negotiations with Disney to allow Spider-Man to exist in the Avengers movie universe.
Interesting.
I mean, there's a lot of money to be made by both sides here if this occurs.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But according to the story on IO9, there's two things that would have to be agreed upon to make this work. One, Marvel would need to agree to pay Sony a fee, probably per appearance of Spider-Man, I would guess per movie when they say per appearance, not per scene. have to be enough to sate Sony, but not enough that Marvel thinks it would cut into their profit margins. The second thing that would have to happen was that Marvel would have to probably be limited as to how much they could use Spider-Man. Because, Sony wouldn't want to just tank its own series of movies, nor would they want extra stories coming out that would just confuse people.
Right.
Now, the person who wrote the story on IO9, Rob Bricken, seems to think that this doesn't have a great likelihood of happening, and I have to agree. Because even though Amazing Spider-Man 2 monetarily was a disappointment, they're still cruising forward with their movies. If I was going to sign a deal like this, you might as well just sign the whole thing back and try and get some serious money out of Marvel for the rights.
Yeah.
Or more specifically, out of the mouse. Because all you're doing, if you don't do that, is just creating more work for everybody to try and keep everything in alignment. And I don't think Disney would be willing to potentially shove or derail the Avengers and their movies off track to allow for a new character they only have partial rights to. Anybody else have an opinion?
I pretty much agree with everything you've been saying. I don't have a whole lot of knowledge as far as rights go, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I wanted to make sure. Well, here's something you guys will really enjoy. Robert Downey Jr. says he is willing to appear on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh.
Really?
Okay.
He says he's willing to appear on the show.
That would
Downey
be
told
amazing.
a user. Yeah, Downey told someone who asked him on Reddit, quote, "Nothing is impossible, but there might be a fair amount of red tape involved in something like that. I love Clark Gregg, and I'm pleased the new show is doing well," unquote. For what it's worth, Chloe Bennett, who plays Skye on the show, she heard about this, and on Instagram, she captioned the whole thing and added underneath, "Please, please, please tell me this is real life."
It's awesome.
So I don't think there's a lose to be had there if they brought Downey in for an episode or even just an appearance on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It'd be worth the money to bring him down, and it'd be worth the ratings to have him do it.
Oh, yeah, that would be boss.
Okay, this is definitely Marvel media news because Marvel is thinking about expanding their, or Disney, I should say, is thinking about expanding the Marvel animated universe.
With what?
You are not going to believe what they're doing it with.
Okay.
Well, actually, I guess you could believe what they're doing it with. It's one of those things that I would have said probably a year ago would be funny, but impossible. Instead, we get what I just sent you.
What they're doing, Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yep, they aired this footage at New York Comic Con. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is probably unconnected to anything they're doing Avengers related right now.
Yeah.
Test footage isn't bad. It's a little heavy on cell shading, though. Never really been a fan of that technique.
What technique?
Cell shading.
Cell shading.
I'm going to reload this thing.
How can you go wrong with a furry rodent with a rifle?
I can think of several ways, but I can't express it right now.
It's interesting as test footage. I just hope they don't keep Rocket Raccoon looking that cuddly.
I was just searching for that word.
He looked a little too cute for what he is.
Who doesn't like to be assassinated by an adorable animal?
Anybody who's been in the world of Pokemon?
Fair.
Hell, you're lucky if you're assassinated in the world of Pokemon.
See, New York Comic Con got some special stuff, though. They aired the first footage of the Daredevil net show. They got to see it.
Oh.
They got what?
The people at New York Comic Con who were in a special panel got to see the first footage from the Daredevil internet show, Netflix show. And they are saying it is very dark, gritty, and more realistic than the Avengers. I mean, even the first clip they had looks like a prototype of the Daredevil costume. You know, in other words, Matt Murdock is a character still feeling out what he can do. But it does involve the character of Karen Page, played by Deborah Ann Wall from True Blood. And the the person who wrote this article on IO9, Meredith Woner, described it as too green toned down from a David Fincher movie, but it's still fairly green and dark. It may have had something to do with the giant monitor, of course, they were playing everything on. But they even had clips that had Rosario Dawson and Charlie Cox bantering back and forth. I don't know who Rosario Dawson is playing. But the third clip was the one that apparently stole the show, and that was Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin.
I don't know who that actor is.
I don't know how to explain it to you in short words. I know he was on Law & Order for a long time. That's all I know.
Oh.
I'll tell you what I will do is I'll send you a URL from New York Comic Con of Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, the characters who are going to play Daredevil and the Kingpin. You know, Michael Clark Duncan, rest his soul, wasn't a very good Kingpin. D'Onofrio looks like the goddamn Kingpin. He actually looks like he's irritated and going to throw the table. So I've never been a big fan of Daredevil. I'm down for this.
Ooh, wow. Oh, yeah, I have seen that guy.
Yeah, I recognize him without the hair. I know he was in a few like B-grade horror films, but that's not exactly the greatest thing I could quote to you as to where to find him.
Yeah.
From there, we'll move into DC media news, and the first one was kind of funny. Ben Affleck says that if Batman v Superman turns out anything like Daredevil, he'll be the first one picking the goddamn movie. He says, quote, "Indeed, I have regrets about Daredevil. I have regrets about all the movies that I don't think were executed properly. Look, if I thought we were remaking Daredevil, I'd be out there picketing myself. And that goes for other movies as well as that I have not been happy with," unquote. It's nice to know he is sticking in there and he has some level of, I guess, pride in what he does, and he understands when it's poop.
Sorry, who is this? Is Ben Affleck?
Ben Affleck, the guy playing Batman in Batman v Superman. Basically, he says if it sucks, he'll picket it.
Huh.
I guess that means he has more confidence in this project, but still, he had a lot of confidence going into Daredevil, too, so we'll see.
I imagine the experience of being involved in a project is a lot different than what it turns out to be, if that makes sense.
I would guess so. Sometimes, you just don't know it sucks until the CG are added in, you find out there's no saving it.
Yeah.
Green Lantern.
Oh, God, really? There was so much hype going into that, and it was looking so good up until the moment where they started showing things. Has anyone here watched Sucker Punch?
No.
No. I've meant to.
You don't have to, realistically. There's an actress from that movie, Jenna Malone. She has apparently been added to the cast of Batman v Superman in an unknown role. There hasn't been a whole lot of talk as to what exactly she's doing. There was speculation that she's been added because she's been seen on the set, although there's been no official announcement that she's been on the film. And some people were wondering what she would do. Well, she decided to get herself onto Instagram and add a picture. I don't know if I'd call it spoilers so much, but it definitely threw a wrench in the works. I'm trying to get you guys the URL. There it is.
I see red hair.
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal, considering that this whole story of Batman v Superman, best we can tell, is largely sourced from the Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. And we discussed before that if you're going to source that story, there's been one character in it that's been not talked about whatsoever, and that's Carrie Kelly, who up until the late 90s was the only female Robin in DC history.
Oh yeah, she was a redhead, wasn't she?
Yes, she was. She recently showed up in the modern comics, but she has not been cast in any sort of Robin. She's been a film student who knew Damian. So this could be a big deal. Warner Brothers is teaming up with DC Entertainment, and they're trying to put together the Batman Virtual Experience.
So what?
What does that mean?
Right through Gotham City in the back of a taxi cab?
Well, it's an interactive narrative experience that will give fans of Batman the Animated Series the opportunity to explore Batman's world and feel what it's like to be inside the show's universe on devices including Samsung Galaxy Gear, Oculus Rift, and glasses-free light field displays. So they're coming up with a VR program that'll allow you to exist in Batman the Animated Series universe for a little while.
Considering Batman's world, I don't want to be in Batman's world.
Does that mean it's going to be like red skies in the daylight hours?
That's
let alone would you be walking down the virtual street and next thing you know you're murdered by the Riddler or something?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I would never live in Gotham. Ever.
Yeah, the mortality rate out there is a little absurd. I admit, it's not one of the first places that would be on my list of favorite cities.
Yeah, I'd be like, I wouldn't even be a tourist in Gotham. Sure, it's got great architecture, but, no.
The name is just... Gotham?
It does kind of say it all.
Yeah. I would want to see more citizens walking around dressed like, goths.
Yeah.
Maybe teenagers, but still.
Well, remember we spoke about 2 months ago that the Flash, he cast Ronnie Raymond, who's one half of the hero Firestorm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
They cast the other half of that, the one that's supposed to play the Dr. Stein half of the Firestorm. That's going to be done by Victor Garber. The last big movie I heard of him being in was he was on Alias for a while, and he was in Argo.
Not familiar with either one.
Well, they did allude to Ronnie Raymond in the series very briefly in the second episode of the series, as Caitlin Snow's fiancé. They mentioned her dead fiancé, Ronnie.
Ah.
So that's probably coming. If they just cast him, though, he probably won't be seen till like the second season, I would guess. Because after all, the first season would pretty much be in the can by now.
Yeah.
But they have released the first pictures of Captain Cold.
Really?
Yeah, we discussed the guy from Prison Break is starring as that one. And he has an okay look. I kind of worried about Captain Cold because it's not just the name. He has those bizarre, like, slick glasses that don't make much sense in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it seems they've come up with an interesting compromise. One that makes him workable. Hopefully he won't dress in a giant blue parka. I sent you guys the URL so you can take a look.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool.
It's not bad.
So, he's going with the devices to generate his skull. He's not going to be super powered.
Right.
I hope.
I'm guessing so. It seems that in the New 52, they've also depowered Captain Cold, so they're working on it looks like a more coherent narrative. It doesn't look bad.
No.
I mean, if I had one complaint after watching the first 2 episodes of the show so far, it's that the villains that they've cast in the show have been horrible actors. Just not even really good starting points because their acting is so stiff and wooden. It's like dealing with the William Shatner school of acting.
Hey.
It's true. I enjoy Transformers, but I'll admit that's shit too. But they have also cast the Pied Piper for the Flash TV show. Jeremy Jordan, it looks like, is going to be... Andy Mentis of Smash has been hired to play the Pied Piper. That's also a little bit of a big deal, considering that's a gay supervillain.
Yep.
So we know that he can be on the show, but he can never get married.
What?
Why not?
Yes, he understood where that went.
Yeah.
You guys don't remember the story we had about Batwoman, where she can be engaged, but she can never be married, according to DC Comics?
Oh.
Hey, I didn't write the rules.
No, but you like to make fun of it.
Oh, of course. And if you've been watching The Flash at all, it shouldn't be a secret that the Reverse Flash is coming.
Yeah.
Some people took pictures of a recent filming of The Flash. They actually got pictures of the Reverse Flash in costume.
Is it going to be in that gaudy yellow?
Half of it is. I'm a little confused as to how exactly this story came about. I hope he ran through some paint to make this. I sent you the URL as to what the costume looks like. does look like it was a black suit and he got hit with something. Like he ran through a paint sprayer and couldn't dodge it.
It's too even for that. Unfortunately.
I don't have a whole lot of great words for this. It's kind of hard to describe. It does look like a bad latex job. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Certainly not good.
It may come across better on the screen. There have been a few things I've seen in stills that just look awful.
Yeah, that's true.
There's another picture here, actually. It's a wider shot with guy playing the Flash on the ground, so it's easier to see the costume. If you're going to go through the trouble of sticking that black circle and lightning bolt on it, don't you think you could put an even paint job on the top half of this thing?
I'm thinking maybe he ran through. Maybe that might be soot instead.
I don't know. I don't have a great guess.
Yeah, I mean, his pants are kind of yellow. I can't tell if that's an aesthetic choice or not.
Yeah, I don't know. There is reports, though, that the CW, they want a third DC comic show. They're in negotiations to try and get one of some sort.
Okay. I think they're trying to create their own universe now.
Well, the only quote by Mark Pedowitz, who works at the CW, is, quote, "There are discussions going on, but I can't tell you what they are," unquote.
Something's going down.
Yeah, Arrow's had some rating troubles recently, but I think it's evened out. Flash opened extremely strong. We have to see if it holds.
I watched Arrow, and oh my god, I want to stop.
You were the one watching it out of most. Well, no, V's the one that's been watching it regularly. Jesse's the one that gave it a college try.
I gave it a try. I
watched the first season. They're all right, and then the third season started. I was like, oh my god, I don't care anymore. I don't.
I'm gonna have questions for you later.
Okay.
Last bit of DC media news I have is that Warner Brothers released a calendar up to 2020 of comic book films.
Oh, crap.
Well, they're finally reaching deeper into their catalogs, but I wonder a little bit about their choices. Okay, 2016 we have Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Also in 2016, Suicide Squad.
Okay.
Yeah. 2017 we have Wonder Woman and the Justice League movie. So I'm guessing that Batman v Superman and Justice League are probably filming at the same time. Okay, 2018 we have The Flash, then Aquaman. 2019 we have Shazam and the Justice League 2. And then in 2020 we have Cyborg and the Green Lantern.
They're being very ambitious.
They're being very ambitious, but in my opinion, they're doing this a little bit out of order.
Order?
Well, I mean, you have your major team movie is Batman v Superman. That's where you're supposed to introduce half these characters. So why are you reintroducing them in their own films?
Yeah.
Okay, let alone people have been clamoring for a major superhero movie. I would almost say after the problems they've had with Captain America, they should have kept Batman v Superman in 2017 and fast-tracked Wonder Woman at 2016. She's the only one of these major heroes that hasn't been seen on screen yet.
I think they're trying to capture the whole Avengers Avengers thing that Marvel put out, and they're just doing it wrong.
Well, they're definitely doing it in reverse, let alone Wonder Woman is ahead of a bunch of other characters who are either lesser known or unknown. I mean, you have Flash and Aquaman in 2018, which, thanks to a combination of comic books and TV, are arguably like two of the bigger names in the league right now. And then in 2019, you have Shazam and a Justice League film.
I still don't get the Shazam stuff. That seems like it came out of nowhere.
Shazam didn't come out of nowhere. He's been a long-standing DC superhero. He's existed before DC, frankly. But it's the same problem we had before, is it's a hero that's not very well known. See, Shazam is probably powerful enough to get his own movie, but it's like giving Hawkeye a movie right out the gate. Yeah, you know the name, but do you care? It's true. You know, it's like the same reason why Black Widow was being shopped around but didn't get a movie before Iron Man, because of a combination of name recognition and a sour taste of other films. I mean, the biggest question mark to me out of this whole slate is the Cyborg movie in 2020. I know Cyborg's been a Teen Titan, he's been in cartoons, he's been in a lot of comics lately as a member of the Justice League, but if there was one guy out of this whole team that probably didn't need a movie, I'd say it was him. His story's got to be the simplest out of all of them.
I haven't even heard of him, so...
That kind of highlights the problem. Well, we have general media news. The Walking Dead opened its 5th season at its strongest ever at 17 million viewers. To go with that, as soon as that came out, The Walking Dead was re-upped for another season. They already get season 6. So that must make these guys feel pretty good. I wonder how many of them still have steady jobs. Most of the original cast is gone. Oh, well.
Oh, well, we asked the guys from Game of Thrones.
Well, I got a list here of 8 actors who nearly played comic book superheroes in movies. I was not aware of most of this, and this is kind of scary. The first up.
Bring it.
Anne Hathaway nearly played a superhero. If Sam Raimi's Spider-Man franchise had made it to 4, she was going to play Felicia Hardy.
Huh.
She was going to be the Black Cat. She confirmed it in an interview in Vulture magazine last year. And, Raimi confirmed the casting as he reflected on the cancellation of Spider-Man 4 in favor of the Amazing Spider-Man reboot. That must suck to audition for a job and pretty much get it, and then all of a sudden the studio says, no, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
The number 7 actually kind of scares me. In Batman Returns, Chris O'Donnell made his debut as Robin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It was Batman and Robin. That was a god-awful one. Okay. Yeah, in the 3rd movie, Chris O'Donnell was Robin. That job nearly went to Marlon Wayans.
Oh.
Who?
Marlon Wayans was one of the youngest brothers in the original group of Wayans brothers, like back from the In Living Color days.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, people were throwing a fit now. Imagine back then if that happened.
Yeah. He got a lump sum payment when he left the movie. Oh my God. That would have been frightening. And I bet Marvel feels like they dodged a bullet because Robert Downey Jr. apparently was not picked number 1 to play Tony Stark.
Who was picked number 1?
The ultimate Scientologist, Tom Cruise.
What?
According to Kevin Feige, who's been in charge of these movies, Cruise had been tied to an Iron Man movie for a long time. But Cruise lost interest in the role, declaring in interviews he didn't think the movie would work. So when Cruise was gone, Marvel looked at a few other actors and settled on Robert Downey Jr., who they believe can make Stark into a, quote, lovable asshole, unquote.
I could not picture Tom Cruise as Tony Stark.
No way.
I can see how people can picture it.
Yeah, if that went through, that movie would have been an abject failure at that time. This was back during the Tom Cruise couch jumping days.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not tall enough.
Yeah. Well, Scarlett Johansson was not picked number 1 for the Black Widow either.
Who was?
The first pick was Emily Blunt. The lady who co-starred in Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise, of all people. But she was contractually tied to another movie going on at the same time, Gulliver's Travels with Jack Black, and the conflicting schedules meant that she had to pick one or the other. You think she regrets that now?
Probably. Edge of
Tomorrow, that was that movie where Tom Cruise is locked in exoframes and keeps dying every day?
Yeah.
Groundhog Day, except with more.
I haven't seen that one, actually.
How about this? Hugh Jackman, everyone's most lovable Australian, was not the first pick to play Wolverine either.
Oh, I know who it was. Due to
last minute decisions, the role was taken from Doug Ray Scott.
Doug Ray? I thought it was Russell Crowe.
No, Doug Ray Scott. He was the guy who played the villain in the second Mission Impossible movie. Because of a delay in filming of Mission Impossible, he had to pull out of the X-Men movie.
Oh, this guy. The guy that's in Hemlock Grove.
Yeah, he's done a few different things. I believe he was this close to playing Wolverine, and it just didn't work out. Did you say to the better or to the detriment?
To the better. He would not have... He has, 2 facial expressions in Hemlock Grove, so I don't know. Haven't seen anything else, but...
This one scares me, frankly. Adam West was not picked number 1 to play Batman in that 1966 TV series.
Oh.
This would have killed a legend, in my opinion. First pick on this one, the guy who nearly played Batman way back when in this weird TV series, Bill Murray.
No.
Oh, wow.
I'm glad that didn't happen.
Well, actually, I have that wrong. He wasn't meant to play Adam West Batman. They brought him in originally to play the 1980s Batman with Tim Burton. They wanted something originally skewed towards the goofiest of the 66 series. But when Tim Burton was brought in, there were a bunch of rewrites and delays on the project. Murray's calendar filled up, and he had to step out. Chris Evans was not the first Captain America either. We already know that. There have been several series. But he wasn't the first one cast for the Captain America movie.
He was like the fifth choice or something, I remember hearing.
Well, as the Marvel Cinematic Universe was coming together, John Krasinski was the first pick.
Not familiar.
John Krasinski was the one, if I remember correctly, he played the lead in Chuck. That NBC show about kind of story playing a super spy. At the last minute, though, Krasinski was removed by... the last minute, Krasinski was removed by Marvel. And Chris Evans got the job without even an audition, somehow.
Nope, not he's, The Office. He's Jim Halpert
okay, so I had that wrong.
Office.
All right. Thank you. Well, the last one was one we knew about, but one I'm certainly glad didn't go through. Tim Burton was working on a Superman movie way back in the day.
Uh-huh.
He called it Superman Lives. It was due to film in 1998, but it was scrapped when Burton departed following Warner Brothers delays and problems with the producer, John Peters. Burton had already picked Superman for that movie. Nicolas Cage.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine this cracked out Clark Kent running around the screen?
I am Superman! I am Superman!
That would just put a whole new spin on him naming his kid Kal-El.
Yeah. Dude, I'm totally Superman. Let alone they did some screen tests of what they did screen tests of what Burton wanted from the costume. Check out this image from the screen test. It looks terrible.
Oh my God. That is obviously photoshopped, but still.
No, that's not Photoshop. That's a screen test, dude.
There is no way. That's Nicolas Cage's face pasted onto a Superman toy.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
No, I'm serious, dude. Burton wanted latex. He wanted the suit to be shiny.
That is a fucking Superman toy. You can see the neck seam.
The neck seam was made in the costume. I swear to God, dude.
Dude, I don't know what to tell you. That is a Superman toy with Nicolas Cage's face photoshopped onto that.
Okay, well now we have a debate. Someone needs to write us and tell us what's correct.
I couldn't have watched this movie, though. This would have been horrible.
Yeah, Ghost Rider wasn't intolerable. I can't even imagine.
Well, Transformers, the new cartoon series that's being made, is being moved to Cartoon Network, reportedly.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, Robots in Disguise is being moved in 2015 to Cartoon Network because the Hub Network, as it stands, is gone.
Yep.
It's already been changed to Discovery Kids, I think it's called. Discovery Family. The new show is going to be more kid-focused, although it's going to use some story beats from a couple previous shows, including Transformers Prime.
Yep. I'll give it a shot, see what it's about. J.J. Abrams has been rather interesting with leaks from the Star Wars sets, although there are rules about what people are allowed to say. When you go to the Star Wars set, though, you're greeted by a poster that says, "Loose lips bring down starships." I sent you guys an image of the poster. It's actually kind of funny.
Nice.
It does look like Chocobit should be added to the bottom.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And let me see, another supposed leak from the Star Wars Episode 7 set
show that supposedly Luke Skywalker is turned into an evil cyborg, and Daisy Ridley's character Kira has sided with him until she finds him in his refuge. It says that Luke Skywalker may be the last of his kind, as Jedis are believed to be extinct or non-existent. This movie is starting to sound like a mess the more we hear about it.
I'm starting to wonder if this is just some kind of epic troll.
I kind of hope so.
And they're leaking all this information, and then the movie's going to come out, and they're just going to be like,
it's going to be totally different.
I can't believe you guys believed this shit.
Yeah, the base plot points do sound like they're just replaying Star Wars with an updated cast. So I do have concerns. But they have reported that James Earl Jones has been rehired to reprise his role of Darth Vader somehow.
At least the voice?
Yeah. The voice
he's going to be on. He's going to be on Star Wars Rebels: Spark of the Rebellion on ABC.
Oh.
It's going to be in the network rebroadcast. It's going to be on Sunday, October 26th.
That's going to be kind of awesome.
There is a certain level to that. I hope it has the same gravitas. He has aged quite a bit since then.
His voice hasn't changed that much, though.
I suppose not.
That's like Potemkin, the guy that played Inigo Montoya.
Yeah, that's Mandy Patinkin.
Mandy Patinkin. Okay, he can still do the voice really well.
Well, I mean, that's Mandy Patinkin, though, and James Earl Jones, I'd say, is probably older than he was. So, I don't know. Did anybody check out the trailer for the new Disney film Tomorrowland?
Nope.
Nope, hadn't even heard of it.
No.
Me neither.
I saw something. I'm not sure what it was.
Well, I know Disney's had mixed success with movies based on their ride. You know, Pirates of the Caribbean went pretty well for them. Haunted Mansion didn't.
I think that was more Eddie Murphy.
Well, we have a 2-minute trailer here for the new Tomorrowland movie trailer. I'm going to send that to you guys. Of course, we start out finding out it's approved for all audiences. Good. That means even we could watch it.
Just because I've been approved doesn't mean I will enjoy it.
Audiences. Kitty.
Yeah, it does say appropriate.
Okay, I see somebody looks like coming out of juvie.
$47.32, one Florida State driver's license, baseball cap.
Rampant looting across the East Coast. Okay, so this is made in today.
Whatever that is.
Okay, this is a very inauspicious trailer so far.
The pen. I've never...
What the hell? Okay.
What if there was a place?
Now I know why they did inauspicious.
Secret place.
Yeah.
Where nothing was impossible.
Maybe that pin is soaked in LSD.
No way.
A miraculous place.
I hear George Clooney talking.
Actually changing the world.
So you grab the pin and become a Legionnaire.
I wonder what's happening to her, because no one's freaking out. Like, she's not teleporting away or anything.
I don't know. Wouldn't that be sad if you pick up the pin and this is entirely in her drugged out head? She's got a brain tumor or something?
That's not funny. I'm sorry. Guess it is kind of to me, but...
Well, I mean, that's the story of Winnie the Pooh. He didn't actually have adventures... Whoa. Okay, I saw a jetpack. He didn't actually have adventures with all those people. He was a dying kid who was having delusions.
Right.
Okay, I don't know anything more about Tomorrowland really than I did going in, but I'm suitably curious about what the hell this is about.
Yeah, that was well done.
Yeah. This makes it into sequels I never asked for. Warner Brothers has announced that they're doing a Lego movie spin-off about Batman.
I could see it, actually.
The Batman from the Lego movie is getting his own movie, and Will Arnett is coming back to do the role.
Oh my.
Although I'm a little worried because the script is being penned by the author of Pride and Prejudice and Zombies and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Several of those words don't belong together.
I heard Pride and Prejudice and Zombies was interesting. Actually, that's all I've heard.
I don't know. It still sounds like we have a whole movie about Kristen Stewart. And the last bit of general media news I have is I have another trailer for you guys. I'm sending it to you now. There was a trailer release at New York Comic-Con of the new Powers TV show. We've talked about this one on and off. About a former superpowered being who's become a detective investigating the crimes.
Above the law. Then I lost my powers. So he gave me a badge. The fuck am I supposed to do with that?
Oh wow, you can say fuck in this series.
Excellent. It's one of my favorite words.
Is that John Malkovich?
Looks really familiar.
It'd be good to have a real detective around. See if you can.
Well, the actor playing the lead is the one who played Murdoch in the A-Team, and he played the villain in Elysium.
Oh, that's where I know him.
Teach me how a power thinks.
Being powerful makes you feel like you
So he could pull off crazy if he needs to.
Yeah.
This girl.
Wow.
How does it feel, Christian, to be powerless?
Boy, I was alive. You're gonna get somebody killed.
Or take it over.
Yeah, it could be. This actually looks kind of groovy.
Certainly looks violent.
Yeah.
He has my fucking powers!
Huh.
I definitely want to see this.
Yeah.
It's unlocked.
It's coming to PlayStation. Is it coming to other media forms? Yeah, I want to watch this show now.
Nice.
Okay, from there we'll move on to Marvel comic news. And because of New York Comic Con, there is a shit ton of it. There is a new Secret Wars coming in Marvel Comics.
Okay.
I don't have a great amount of details as to what this is. We discussed Secret Wars before as a miniseries that occurred where a cosmic being suddenly said, you know what, we're going to find out which is better, good or evil. Right now, you guys fight it out on my special planet.
Right.
And then
now,
out of it.
Yeah, they've announced that there's this new Secret Wars series coming in 2015, although there hasn't been any details as to what it's about. And the image regarding it is just fucking confusing. Because it appears to have several different versions of Iron Man throughout time, Captain America throughout time, a couple of different versions of Thor, including Lady Thor in there. So I have no explanation as to what could be occurring in this series. Just none. And, you know...
First rule of Fight Club, you don't talk about...
Yeah, no kidding. Fucking frustrating. As a matter of fact, as soon as the URL's even out, I will send you guys a link so you can take a look at it. Oh, wait, actually, I've got the... No, I'll wait for another one to come up, just because the image is relatively large. And in this image, I can see the Falcon Captain America, Steve Rogers is Captain America, Steve Rogers is older Captain America, the American Dream, his daughter from an alternative universe, and I see like 3 different Iron Men here. There we go. I sent you guys the URL. I can't even identify everything in this picture. One person did point out, though, that it's curious that you don't see Peter Parker's Spider-Man anywhere, but you do see Miles Morales' Ultimate Spider-Man stuck in the middle of all this.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of curiosities as to what this storyline could be about, but no real direct explanation as to what it is. And there's a group of characters in here I cannot identify for the life of me.
Actually, it may look like you're taking teams from across time and throwing them time and dimensions and throwing them at each other.
That's a possibility, but there's still no explanation as to what the series itself is about. I mean, I see a Daredevil there wielding a flaming sword. I have no idea what the frick that's about.
New dimension.
Is that a sword or a staff?
It looks like a staff.
I think that's the demon version of the Daredevil.
Yeah, I can't identify everything in this picture. It's just not in my wheelhouse.
It looks like, I mean, Ghost Rider, kind of obvious. But it's mostly Avengers.
Pretty much, but I do have a question about the upper right-hand corner. What's with the clown?
Violator?
Wrong series. Wrong company.
I know. It's the only thing I can think of.
I don't know what that is.
I've heard some people. Joker?
I've heard someone mention the name of Nacho the Clown, but I'm not familiar with that character.
Mm.
So I'm sure
Over
we'll
on
get
the
more
left
about
side, is that Nova from the Nova Corps?
No, I think that this seems to be like an Iron Man version of Goliath.
Hmm.
But the thing is, that wasn't the only teaser that alluded to prior Marvel's events to come out. There was a teaser of a new Planet Hulk, which seemed to show Steve Rogers with a shield and no shirt and an axe fighting a planet full of Hulks and the Devil Dinosaur.
I like part of that.
You would.
Actually, it all sounds kind of interesting.
But it's the geriatric Steve Rogers.
Well, it goes on here because there was a promo of Years of Futures Past, which seemed to feature a lot of 70s and 80s version of X-Men and their villains, and in the center of it is Kitty Pryde in her Sprite costume. There was also the Armor Wars 2015, which has Tony Stark lamenting as several of his most popular armors fight it out amongst themselves, including a brand new Galactus Buster armor I've never seen before.
Galactus Buster.
Yeah, I'll send you guys the URL. It's just this huge size Iron Man about the size of the Statue of Liberty blowing a hole in its head. I've never seen that one either.
Huh.
So there's all kinds of teasers that allude to past stories, and some people are just saying that, when are we going to get the Civil War? How about we slow down and find out why they're apparently rehashing 20 years worth of events over one summer? I have a feeling there's a bigger story here that they haven't said anything about.
Yeah. Well, he's going through and he's making those new Iron Man, the white armors.
Well, I don't know. We're not armors, just a single armor. He's going to give people extremists in San Francisco as soon as Axis is over. So there's other stories to be had here.
Yeah.
But prior to New York Comic Con, we got an announcement about a brand new series that's going to be read by at least one person in this room immediately.
Okay.
As a new part of the Marvel Now promotion for the current year, debuting in January 2015, is Squirrel Girl #1.
Oh, nice.
Entertainment Weekly didn't have much to say from the creators, but says the comic will begin with Squirrel Girl's next big adventure, college. But she'll also be dealing with some cosmic-level threats. There's a special version of the cover by Art Adams that shows her standing triumphant on the chest of Thanos, who's piled up on top of the Rhino, Magneto, Mystique, Doctor Doom, Ultron, the Lizard, Black Star, Enchantress, Dormammu.
Oh, yes.
It looks like Kraven the Hunter, the Red Skull, and Tiger Shark are debating whether or not they want to do this.
Hey, that would make me stop and think about it for a second or two.
Well, actually, there's more to this, because in the background of the shot laying unconscious is Fing Fang Foom and Galactus. So, hopefully the series is fun.
It sounds to be.
The series is going to be called The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. We're also getting news that in 2015, there's going to be a new limited series of Peggy Carter and Howard Stark teaming up for Operation Sin.
Huh.
So the characters that I don't want to say were created in the movie universe, but were at least innovated there, are getting their own miniseries.
Interesting.
Sometimes period pieces do well, sometimes they don't. But also from New York Comic Con, get ready for the zombie adventure like no other. The series, or the miniseries, will be called Return of the Living Deadpool.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. There have been a couple of series who's been forced to kill himself across the multiverse. Looks like they're back.
Wow.
Well, there was a zombie apocalypse not too long ago that Deadpool dealt with, he managed to boost his healing factor to crazy levels, and every zombie that bit him became Deadpool, taking on his personality. So every time a zombie bites one of these Deadpools, another Deadpool is born.
Oh, that's one.
That's
an interesting hell.
In Return of the Living Deadpool, a little time has passed, and we're going to see how the world has evolved and changed now that there are hordes of Deadpools and hordes of zombies.
Oh,
that's a special hell.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. Well, we also heard of a new event coming in 2015. There's going to be a crossover between the X-Men and the Guardians of the Galaxy in a special called the Black Vortex. It doesn't say what it's about, but it's going to be not just a crossover book. It's also going to be featuring Guardians of the Galaxy, all new X-Men, Legendary Star-Lord, Nova, Cyclops, and Captain Marvel. It's going to start in February with a one-shot called Black Vortex Alpha. You know, I don't have much explanation, but it's had some of my favorite characters in recent memory, so I would like to know what this is about. I'll check it out. I don't have great hopes, but I'll check it out. It's also been announced that Gamora is getting her own ongoing series now.
Okay.
Well, the character's had a kind of a resurgence because of the movie. You know, she was moderately successful in the comics, but now because of the movie, everybody seems to want to know more about her, and this is Marvel and Disney's idea to bring in new readers. It's not a bad one.
No.
But she gets her own series as of February.
No more power to her.
Yeah. They'll probably bring in more Thank you. Probably bring in more Star Trek readers because now there will be a comic book featuring the green skin chick.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm a little confused now because there's also a weekly Wolverine series coming, according to New York Comic Con.
Isn't he dead?
He is dead, so that leads to a lot of questions. I don't know what this could conceivably be about.
Hopefully not a resurrection.
It's the zombie Wolverine.
The preview image is very, very freaking confusing. Because it's somebody that's dressed like Wolverine, and I don't mean costume, I mean just the clothes he would wear. But his skin appears to be purple, and he's missing an arm.
Purple?
I mean, you can't see his face.
Yeah. So I have questions as to what this could conceivably be about.
It's the old Lobo.
Oh, you son of a bitch. But, let me see, it was also announced that Marvel is making a new Ant-Man series. You knew that had to be coming sooner or later with this movie coming.
Yeah.
I hope to use Scott Lang. Because I think Pym's going to be boring as hell.
Hank Pym's not boring, they just haven't found the right voice for him yet. You know, I appreciate the bipolar version. That gave him an interesting character twist, but unfortunately they stuck him in that bad Avengers AI series. That series never really panned out like you thought it would. But this was probably the biggest news to come out of New York Comic Con as far as Marvel reading public. The Fantastic Four, the comic is ending.
Really?
Yeah. I know this will mean Rob Liefeld will take to Twitter and say this is why Marvel is, sucks, claiming it's a conspiracy. But, a lot of people would argue, you could probably say it's because of flagging sales. The book has not sold well in recent years.
I did try to read it at one point.
Yeah, it doesn't play well because it seems like lately the Fantastic Four's worst enemies are always themselves.
What do you mean?
And in other words, there's a lot of infighting in that series. That seems to be the biggest story going through it. And they've also killed off each member of the Fantastic Four at one different time or another. So that story's been told. Unless you do a team wipe, I don't know what other story there is.
I don't know. I kind of wish they'd bring back the Marvel Mangaverse version.
Actually, Steve, if you recall, they did do a team wipe. Remember their new Fantastic Four was a 3-issue thing?
Yeah.
Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, and Wolverine. Yeah. I'm not kidding.
No, he's not.
Paperback Spider-Man. No,
not paperback, full-blown Spider-Man. The four of them were brought together by coincidence at Four Freedoms Plaza after Fantastic Four disappeared, and they teamed up to take care of the problem. Although this doesn't mean that the characters won't be used at all. It's been alluded to in recent Avengers issues that that the Invisible Woman will be an Avenger hunting her husband in the other new Avengers, the Illuminati, more or less. So we'll see it. I don't know. Some people argue that sometimes the best thing you can do for a team is to step away and let ideas refresh for a little while.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Yeah. Last bit of Marvel comic news I have was a very recent announcement, and one that, as a comic book fan, I both like and I don't like. It's been no secret since we started this show. I've been a fan of the Uncanny Avengers, the Unity Squad. The stories have been very large, the character moments have been very good and everything, and the series has really resonated with me as a reader anyway. That series is still ongoing. They're not ending it, but the team is getting an overhaul that is taking away all but 2 of the founding members of the team.
Really?
Yeah, Scarlet Witch and Rogue are the only ones returning on the team. The others have all been replaced. I mean, Wolverine, we know he's
Rogue was
dead.
supposed to be dead.
No. Rogue died as part of that story, but we knew as a result of all the time travel going on that she was probably going to be brought back somehow, and she was.
Okay.
But the thing is, the other members of the team, with the exception of one man, every member of this team is a villain. I'm just going to send you guys the URL.
Or it could be.
Take a look. Oh no, you'll be surprised at the makeup of this team. Take a good look at that picture.
Okay.
I see Iron Man.
No, that's the
that's
Vision.
Vision, Sabretooth, that's the teleport guy.
Nope.
No?
That's not Manifold. That's Brother Voodoo.
Yeah, all of them except for Sam Wilson have all been villains.
Yeah, this new Uncanny Avengers team is apparently going to be the new Captain America, the former Falcon, the Scarlet Witch, Rogue, the Vision, Quicksilver, Brother Voodoo, and Sabretooth.
What the hell's going on?
I don't know. Half of these characters have predilections to kill each other, frankly. I mean, there's 20 different reasons why Rogue and the Scarlet Witch would not like Sabretooth. There's reasons why Sabretooth would probably want to eat Quicksilver. There's reasons why the Vision would probably want to take the head right off his ex-wife, the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a huge issue right there with Scarlet Witch and Vision.
Yeah, Brother Voodoo, last time I heard from him, he wanted to kill the Avengers because his brother died. And, you know, for all I know, all of them want to kill Sam Wilson because he's not Steve Rogers. I mean, out of all of them have had heroic bents in one form or another. Just because they're former villains doesn't mean they're not redeemed characters, with the exception of Sabretooth. I saw that picture, and as soon as he caught my eye, that was the biggest what the fuck I had in staring at this image.
Dude, they will accept anyone in the Avengers now.
I don't know. D-Man still hasn't made it on the roster.
They couldn't get the Beast back, so they took Sabretooth.
Well, no, they don't want the Beast back. That guy's fucking with time, dude. That guy's a menace. Actually, the Beast is on the Illuminati. He can't be on the Avengers right now. So he's still fucking up the Marvel Universe.
Well, it's a good thing they kept Captain America out, or Steve Rogers. Oh, no.
Really?
Yeah, he was an Illuminati. He was.
He was, yeah. But he's the one leading the charge hunting them. DC comic news, you would think at New York Comic Con it'd be serious, but there wasn't a heck of a lot. And I looked for a while, but most of the news was pretty much recaps on a lot of things. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo revealed the first post-Endgame Batman details. There is going to be stories past Endgame. I really hope so, and I hope it... I don't know, I kind of want to see a series where Batman loses his hand. That would add a different dynamic to the character.
Well, they've already done it to Aquaman.
Yeah, but Aquaman didn't have an alter ego.
True.
You know, Bruce Wayne shows up with that hand. There's a ton of questions that need asking.
I cut myself shaving.
With a guillotine?
I cut myself shaving Dick Grayson.
Cut a little too close. He screamed, and I jerked.
You scared me.
There's a terrible pube joke in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Actually, it would take too long to read through and try and pull everything. But yeah, it seems like there wasn't a whole lot of solid new comic news coming out. Just a lot of people asking questions about the direction of series that already exist. I'm kind of surprised. You would think DC would get a little more innovative than that. But as we said before, in general comic news, New York Comic Con has posted that they had over 151,000 people show up. If that number's corroborated, they're officially the biggest comic book convention in the country. Not in the world, though. I think Comic-Con is the biggest comic book convention technically in Japan that has an attendance of 590,000.
Yeah,
wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Valiant Comics is expanding their lineup. They're adding 6 new series by 2015. It's going to involve a lot of stuff that I'm aware of as a comic fan, but I don't think I've read, including The Valiant in December, Time Walker in January, Divinity in February, Imperium in February, Ninjak is coming back in March, and Bloodshot Reborn hits in April. I'm familiar with only half of those by nature.
Yeah, some of them I've heard of, but it's not really...
Yeah. Well, this is kind of cool to me. Dynamite Comics got the worldwide license to make comic books about James Bond.
Wow.
If there was ever a character that was made for comic books, dude, that's it.
Yeah.
But they got the licenses from Edgar Rice Burroughs and King Media, who had signed an agreement with Ian Fleming Productions, so that gives them worldwide distribution rights to a James Bond comic book. That'd be kind of nifty. Joshua Williamson has left his own series to create a new series called Birthright. It's going to be coming out under Robert Kirkman's Skybound Entertainment imprint from Image. Birthright is going to ask the question, what would happen if a child disappeared into a fantasy world, and what would happen if he came back? You get Kylun from Excalibur.
I was going to say, I was reading a Japanese manga about that.
You read every Japanese manga about that, technically. That could be cool, may not be.
Yeah.
But here's this makes me question who's making what. There's going to be a new crossover coming, and it's buried the lead in the title. Archie meets Predator.
I don't even have words.
That could be a very, very, very short series. Because unless Jughead kills it by stuffing a hamburger down his throat, I have no idea how they're going to kill this thing. Unless Archie stuffs Betty down his throat, but, you know.
I don't have words. What the fuck?
The actual plot of this was apparently by writer Alex DeCampi and told in USA Today. Quote, the beach vacation comes unexpectedly after Jughead wins a prize from the lucky bag of chips, and Betty and Veronica make the most of the sunny weather by competing in a best dress contest. After Betty is revealed to be borrowing Cheryl Blossom's clothes to compete, she and Veronica have a fight, and she tearfully runs off into the jungle where, let's say, she isn't alone. Everybody does end up back in Riverdale, as do those big trunks of clothes that Veronica brought. Trunks so big you could hide a predator in them. Her Louis Vuitton will never quite smell the same again, unquote.
I don't even have words.
This sounds like it was written while high. There's no good way to really make this.
Not necessarily. I've read worse fanfics, and I can't believe they were high because the grammar was pretty good.
This isn't a fanfic, though. This is an actual comic book series.
I know.
I am not hip to this. But Dark Horse has announced that they're producing more video game-related comic books. They're putting out Dragon Age, Mass Effect, Halo, and Tomb Raider.
Huh. I kind of liked the Mass Effect spoof that they did.
I didn't know Dark Horse did a spoof of that. What was it like?
No, not Dark Horse. Fans kind of made a little mini live-action trailer for Mass Effect.
Oh.
I guess we'll see how it looks like in comics.
Yeah, I may check out some of these. We'll see. It was also announced that IDW is doing something interesting with their G.I. Joe series. They're getting a new series in January called G.I. Joe Snake Eyes, Agent of Cobra.
Okay.
Interesting.
Snake Eyes is returning to the series as an agent of Cobra. His first act is to break Destro out of prison.
It's got to be some undercover thing.
I don't know. It's putting Snake Eyes directly in the target of a G.I. Joe squad led by Scarlet.
Oh.
The character's been gone for almost 2 years from the comic books, apparently. Does that mean he and Storm Shadow are going to have more fights?
It's what I'm wondering, because it was like that's kind of like a role reversal in a way.
Yeah. It's new series starting in January. And the last
I thought
bit
you
of
were
general
going to
comic
say
news
Snake Eyes, Agent Hydra, but, you know.
Even I'm not that stupid. Yeah, I have confirmation here about all the props that were being thrown out at New York Comic Con. There would have been cosplayers that are upset because props are not the biggest part of a costume, but they are some of the most time-consuming. Take a look at this. You see 3 garbage cans being taken away by staff there.
Now, was this convention or actual?
I don't have a lot of details as to who was confiscating them. I know it's probably convention center staff that's taking them out. As far as who was confiscating them, I think it was actual convention staff. And the sad part is it's
in one of them.
Yeah, two of them, and a sword.
That cord is so thick, you know that bow's non-functional.
Yeah.
It's sad that they weren't even given a chance to retrieve them, though. Some of these take a lot of work. I saw a video that, like I said,
they weren't allowed to retrieve them?
No, they literally threw them away.
They threw them out.
That seems illegal.
It's not illegal if it's against the policies going in. If people didn't read the policies, that's their mistake. But this would be the most extreme cosplay policy I've ever heard of. You know, I've seen stuff around conventions for years that were on these tables getting ready to be thrown out. Including at one point, I even saw the Master Key from Kingdom Hearts.
What was there something that happened that spurred this decision?
Not that I know of. Some people have cited that these were props that they brought to other conventions, but now have been thrown out by New York Comic Con.
That's very disappointing.
Yeah. We'll bounce from there into anime and Japan news because we were off for a week. It's actually built up a little bit. I am glad to hear that the Naruto manga is finally ending.
Yep.
After 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah, as of November 10th, that will be the last chapter coming out in Shonen Jump of Naruto. It is way past time for this series to end.
I don't know. It had a rocky middle and whatnot. The manga stayed somewhat interesting, but after getting licensed, it became so difficult to read. I just gave up on it for a while. I'm probably just gonna find some site where they haven't taken it down yet and binge read it till the end.
Well, you guys familiar with the name Tetsuya Nomura? He's a Final Fantasy designer.
Yeah.
I'm familiar.
I'm starting to think he's losing it to a degree. For some reason, he's been working with, I think, Kotobukiya to put out some toys based on DC comic properties.
Oh boy.
Recently, huh?
Alright, this is starting to sound bad.
Well, he recently redesigned Catwoman. And, this is not any Catwoman I've ever seen, nor do I want to see this, frankly. She looks like a Power Rangers villain. I sent you the URL. Take a look.
I have a nice error code.
Whoa.
Right? I kind of like it, but...
It feels like something straight out of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, this is way too extreme for me. Let alone, I keep looking at those ears and I'm thinking, Batgirl's really effed up. Wait.
Aesthetically, I like it, but in practice, I would have...
Yeah, my no script is not liking that, whatever it is.
It's an image.
Yeah, well, it keeps blocking it and doesn't give me...
I don't quite know what to say. It seems to have made it through the others.
Yeah, I have Adblocker Pro on.
Well, here, try that then. That's a story. I could see this ending up in cosplay, but I couldn't see it ending up in any media I would buy. But believe it or not, this was not just one-shot thing. Like I said, he's been working on some other stuff for DC properties.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's cracked out? Check this out. This is his Batman.
Well, you know what, to be honest, she looks like a villain from, like, Metal Gear Revengeance.
Okay, well, check out the other URL I sent, because Batman looks like an enemy to Manzinger Z.
It's like Batman Beyond crossed with what the hell was that show where they would damn. It does kind of remind me of a Manzinger Z villain though too.
It's hard to really describe in looking at it. He does, if he had to look like a villain to any anime, I'd almost see it'd be Gatchaman. It's very bizarre. Mega Man is getting new toys by True Force Collectibles. If they paint this thing, unfortunately, I would lose money to this. Check that thing out. It's got some articulation, and this would make me a very happy little camper. It's nifty looking. I don't see any links about a pre-order, so I assume they're still working on it. But there has been talk of them going to Kickstarter to start production.
Mega Man
X version. Yeah. X version.
Oh, I would want that.
That's pretty nifty.
I would definitely want that.
There is an artist on YouTube who's decided to ask a question I never thought to ask. And that is, what would Gravity Falls look like as an anime?
Huh.
I shit you not. I'm going to pass you guys a URL just because I sat down and watched this, and they use actual audio tracks from one of the episodes of Gravity Falls. It's not fucking bad.
Hey, your parents aren't here. You want to ride home? Police.
What is Gravity Falls?
Disney cartoon.
Yeah.
Hey, I found 2 tacos.
Really? You're allowed to eat in the cart?
What?
Yeah.
No,
where secret
just
surprise snacks
YouTube's
happen.
not cooperating.
Want one?
Oh, I'm not supposed to take handouts.
Handouts? It's called sharing. You do know what sharing is.
This is almost Sakura-like, or Cardcaptor-like.
Just take it.
Why does Dipper have pucker face?
She just found a random taco in the back. It cannot be edible.
Yeah. This whole thing was done by Mike and Elle. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Ew. At the taco, I can't.
She's not looking at art. She's stuck on tacos.
I really kind of am.
Well, the creator of Attack on Titan, or Shingeki no Kyojin, he started a little bit of a controversy. Somebody decided to ask him via a magazine article in Kodansha's Betsatsu Shonen magazine as to which female character he thinks... God, where was the question here? Which of the female characters is closest to the sexy and capable Mikasa Ackerman?
What the hell does that mean?
Isama was asked as to which of the title's female characters is closest in capability to Mikasa Ackerman, like the lone, as far as I know, the biggest female on the show.
Right.
His response was Armin. So, I'm guessing that's a joke. Unfortunately, it has caused fans of the series to pore over past episodes and mangas trying to figure out where exactly Armin's flipped and revealed that this character is a girl. This is probably going to be fodder for like fan fiction for years.
Years and years.
Oh my.
But that's not the only Attack on Titan news we have. There is going to be an officially licensed version of the 3D maneuver gear put out. And it's ornate, is the best way I can put it. People are probably going to be fishing for this. I'm sending you guys the URL so you can take a look. Because it's licensed, it's got to be detailed. These are very detailed. Actually, if you took these to New York Comic Con, they would probably be thrown out.
What is this?
This is a 3D gear. It's motion gear that the people use to attack 20-story tall giants. It allows them to rappel up buildings at high speed.
Buildings, structures.
Yeah.
Giants.
I believe the pre-order for this may already be over. Oh no, actually the pre-order is going on right now. You can pre-order this directly off of the Movic website, the company that's putting out the show. It's going for 99,800 yen. I'd say that's approximately $920 retail.
Yep.
So you'll be paying through the nose for this. It's all in metric, though. It's the blade is about 37 centimeters by 32 centimeters by 14 centimeters. Total length is about 88 centimeters with the grip. So this is sizable, full-size stuff. It's going to be 10 kilograms in total overall weight. It's parts of it are die-cast, too. Yeah, New York Comic Con would never allow this. We talked a little bit earlier about Tetsuya Nomura, his crazy designs. Well, he's been talking about a video game collaboration lately that's had some people curious. He's been talking about a potential collaboration with the creators of Hatsune Miku.
Okay.
Which has had some heads turning. Because he's a very good video game designer, and Hatsune Miku is arguably the biggest current video game character in the world. Well, a billboard appeared in Times Square. You can check it out there.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, that may not be Times Square, but this sign appeared in New York. So it's making people wonder just how far is this collaboration going?
That is pretty intriguing.
It's a Square Enix game, which means it could be a Final Fantasy game, which means we could see Hatsune Miku taking on giant turtles or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm just like, I'm kind of scratching my head because I recognize the pose from several other
posters and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does seem to be just Nomura's take on an old version of the character.
Yeah. I'd crack up if they actually did like a bunch of virtual idols a la X2.
Oh,
I would crack. I would die. I would die laughing.
Such an interesting Anaconda, dude. I can't go back to that. But believe it or not, there's also a new Lupin the Third anime announced.
Really?
Yeah, he's coming back to TV. Believe it or not, It's going to be a brand new series of Lupin the Third.
Really? Okay.
Although some long-term fans of Lupin have noticed that his trademark jacket is switched from red to blue.
No. Anyway,
how about this? The anime will first debut in Italy to coincide with its setting before hitting Japan.
Nice.
They put some level of thought into this. I'm not a huge Lupin fan, but Lupin is a staple of anime, I would say.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the show, as corny as it is.
Speaking of anime staples, for the first time ever with an official North American release, in spring of 2015, Gundam is coming.
Which one?
Bandai Japan is partnering up with Right Stuff. They're going to start by putting out Turn A, Gundam Double Z, The Origin, and several others that never made it to America before. The original Gundam 1979 series in Turn A will lead the charge in spring of 2015.
Damn.
We're getting all of it.
Huh.
I know the biggest holdout to bringing Gundam to North America was that Bandai, for the longest time, wanted to sell the entirety of the series as one chunk. Looks like they finally got their wish.
I didn't know that Gundam was a thing still.
Oh yeah, they just came out with Reconquista, and which one of the people that I read translated web novels from was bitching about.
Yeah, they've technically never stopped making Gundam. That's when you think it's done, all of a sudden you find out there's a new series and a new teenager flying a giant robot creating massive amounts of destruction. From there, we'll move into nerd interest news from there, and we have some weird generalities here. First off, is that funding for Kickstarter-based games has dropped by more than half in 2014.
Well, everyone's wanting to get their games from 2012. That's why I'm not funding new games right now. I funded
cool.
some. I'm not up for it anymore for a bit.
In 2013, Kickstarter project funded $58 million for video games. In the first half of 2014, so far, that's $13.5 million. I almost feel that's not fair because in 2013 was when we found out about like Mighty Number 9, and that made like gangbuster money.
Well, I also we're somewhat out of the recession, but at the same time, I just don't have the funds to keep doing it.
Yeah, I have 3 kids. I do not have funds.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. Well, there is a new project that is being worked on that's probably going to sap a lot of money if it comes out. Have you heard of Room Alive?
No.
Mm-mm.
Microsoft has created a prototype system of projectors to turn any room into a video game setting.
Yes, I have.
Oh, we're getting Tony Stark's Batcher Pad.
I was going to say we're getting the apartments from Psychopaths.
We're getting holodecks.
That's probably the closest approximation everybody would know. I'm sending you guys a YouTube URL. It's an example of the prototype for Room Alive. I mean, the only thing stopping it right now is it does seem to take at least 9 projectors. You would need some pretty major equipment to get this to work.
And power.
Currently. Yeah. But it looks like for right now they're working on prototypes of shooting games, hunting games, and a couple other things. You wouldn't need its own computer to run this because something would have to scan the room and account for all the objects in it. So you wouldn't need just cameras, you would need a full scanning system. Well, I guess technically the cameras can do that. I'm jacked up. Can you imagine what life would be like if they actually get this to work and can make make the release affordable?
Oh.
Imagine what this would be like if someone subjected someone to it without them knowing.
Oh. Psychological assault.
You know the first wide adaptation of this thing that's not an official release will be somebody figuring out how to make like room porn on it.
Japan.
Probably.
Oh God, it's impressive. I mean, it feels a lot like the first steps of virtual reality. It's an awesome concept. It's not quite fleshed out yet.
Yeah, I do think that anybody with epilepsy is going to have problems with the room setup.
Oh, anybody with privacy issues is going to have a problem. Right now, it's being based on Kinect sensors.
Yeah, that's not great.
But it has a possibility to really be an interesting new development in video games. Or even media. Could you imagine what this would be like as an immersive like storytelling?
Ooh.
Education?
Education would be one aspect, but I was thinking, what if you're, instead of sitting down and watching The Walking Dead on TV, you just kind of move from room to room?
Yeah, that's true.
That would be nifty as all fucking freaky. You're sitting there in your chair, all of a sudden you hear hissing behind you. People be peeing themselves.
Dude, playing Alien Isolation with this kind of setup.
Oh, frick. Yeah, that would just be scary as all hell. I'm gonna stop it there because it's another minute, but yeah. Redbox Instant is shutting down their streaming service on October 7th. Oh, so they've already shut down. So Redbox has gotten out of the streaming business.
I did not even know that they were doing it.
They never got a huge market share, and some people were sad to see it go. I'd almost say they got out of it at the right time, considering that Netflix and Hulu would arguably be the only 2 major players left. Amazon would be in it, but they're kind of a different version of streaming.
Yeah.
The thing is, there was news that came out early last week. CBS has started their own stream service, $6.99 a month. You get all their current shows and like a library of their past shows.
Oh, that's nice.
And HBO on Monday announced that as of 2015, they're going to start their own standalone streaming service.
Hooray!
So we may actually be looking at the death of cable.
I had heard about that, but I'm still happy.
Well, HBO has not quoted price yet. I hope they come in at the same price points as other services, about $10. But HBO would arguably be a bigger name that could probably afford $15 if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But V, you're going to need to take note on the next story. Because NASA is considering a deep sleep option for a Mars mission crew.
Oh, I read about that.
Yeah, they're looking into starting torpor, which is a deep sleep to reduce astronauts' metabolic functions. So,
yeah, anyone that's played Vampire the Masquerade is familiar with torpor.
Anyone that's watched, was it 2001: A Space Odyssey, should be familiar with it and the dangers involved.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
But the therapeutic torpor has been around since the 1980s, so this should be possible. It's just going to be weird to like go to sleep in Earth orbit and wake up in Mars orbit.
Right.
Yeah. Very disorienting, I would assume.
I would assume so. Let me see. A media streaming app called Plex is arriving on the Xbox One. I'm not sure what Plex is. Yeah. Does anybody know what Plex is?
No.
Nope.
It's a free download to get Plex for the Xbox One and 360. To run the latest version of Plex on your computer, you need what's called a Plex Pass. It's a monthly of $4.99 or yearly at $40. Or for $150, you get a lifetime subscription. Looks like it's a movie streaming service.
Oh, yeah, like Cineplex or something. Plex, okay.
I guess so. I may look into this further, but I don't know how far I'll get into it. A new neutron star is super bright and is baffling scientists.
I love things that baffle scientists.
On October 8th in the journal Nature, a star was found that's defying our understanding of physics. Apparently, its stellar corpse falls into the category of rare, extremely bright sources throughout the universe called ultraluminous X-rays. It's not even the brightest of these ever observed. It may be a version of a black hole eating a star alive. And as the star falls into the black hole, it forms a bright ultraluminous disk that astronomers can observe from Earth. That's weird.
It's cool.
Now, it's thought that these ultraluminous X-rays could only come from black holes eating stars, but we now have a newfound neutron star that's putting out this version of X-rays on its own. So we may have something new to learn.
We always have something new to learn.
How very zen of you. Okay, I know that the people in this room are probably not into having like plushies on their beds.
Not particularly.
I found something that's going to make each of you want plushies on your beds.
Oh joy!
Take a look. It's a new product that somebody made on their own, and they're planning on starting Kickstarter crowdfunding to get this going as a official release for about $40.
Nice.
It is a plush version of the Serenity starship from Firefly.
That's actually pretty cute.
I will.
Really? Not only that, it comes with a miniature stuffed shuttle.
Nice.
I would get this.
It's going to be available on I think Quantum Mechanics website, and it'll be officially available for $40.
How big is it?
I'm not entirely sure. It's about 18 inches long, so it's a big one.
Oh, cool.
It's huggable. And you'll be able to find it at qmxonline.com. There actually is a page for it set up already, but it just says coming soon. Like I said, you guys may get plushies soon.
Yeah.
IO9, Ed Grabakowski of the website had a story that the 5th edition Monster Manual of D&D is a cornucopia of classic monsters.
Okay.
What does he mean?
Well, I can read some of the story because he can't interview himself, of course. Let me see. Quote, I have a predisposition to liking books full of monsters. Bring out your creature catalogs, fiend folios, bestiaries, rogues galleries, and esoteric ecologies. I will devour them all. I don't even particularly care what game system they're from. Some of my favorite books as a kid were just encyclopedias of monsters from horror movies, so I was always going to like this new monster manual. I would not have guessed I'd like it as much as I do. This monster manual is seriously great. It follows two of the primary mandates that have ruled 5th edition so far, to unite the best of all previous editions and to put a story and adventure ahead of stats and rules. That first point is very evident, as this feels like a greatest hits collection of D&D monsters. Actually, scratch that. There are well over 130 types of monsters in here, plus quite a few variants for each. That makes this more like a D&D Monsters box set, the one with all the alternate mixes, unreleased tracks, and rare B-sides. All of the favorites are there. Chromatic dragons, owlbears, zombies, hook horrors, cloakers, mimics, even shambling mounds. Some weirder dungeon denizens have made their way into this manual as well, like the flumps, modrons, cambions, and some of the more obscure residents of the abyss. Monster variants are described in several ways. For instance, Mephis and giants come in multiple flavors: ice, steam, dust, hill, stone, storm, etc. Some monsters, like orcs, get extra stats for a variety of challenge ratings. There are some tougher orcs as your basic cannon fodder garden variety. The most interesting variants are those that apply spell abilities or roles that fill a different niche than within that monster's ecology or society. The Mind Flayer, for example, has the usual stat block, but also a small sidebar describing Mind Flayers that use magic instead of just psionics. These Mind Flayer Arcanus get some additional statistical additions, mostly a list of spells they know, but also a bit of color. They're regarded as deviants by their illicit peers and usually shunned, unquote.
That's cool.
It sounds like this is an extremely well thought out book. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things that I think would assist a DM like me who likes to throw oddballs into everything.
Yeah.
Me too.
Me 3.
Because I'm having to create most of my stuff for these guys.
I'm going to read one additional paragraph here because it actually deals with stats. Quote, how do you make some monsters tougher than other monsters if you're trying to flatten out the differences between levels? To be sure, they do get tougher. Higher CR monsters have more hit points and higher AC than low CR monsters, but the differences aren't as pronounced. A hill giant is a CR 5, and it has an AC of 13 with 105 hit points. A Merilith, a CR 16 demon, has an AC of 18 and 189 hit points. There's a difference, but it's not as huge as you might expect. By way of comparison, in Pathfinder, a CR5 Bearded Devil has an AC of 19 and 57 hit points. A CR16 Ancient Black Dragon has an AC of 38 with 297 hit points. There's also a lot of variation based on the monsters themselves. There are some lower CR monsters with tons of HT because they're big hulking brutes, like hill giants in the example above, while some higher CR monsters are glass cannons with deadly spells at their command, but an unimpressive hit point total. The bulk of monsters in this book cluster around a challenge rating of 5 or below, so you'll likely end up making groups of them to challenge higher level characters, or just make them more clever, unquote.
Well, I have a feeling those stat blocks are going to go way over one of our listeners' heads, but yeah, it does sound like they put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, the early description says that the monster manual is made to create story instead of challenges.
Right.
And the best way to create story is obviously to give you a whole block of things to deal with. It's not a bad idea. It helps me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. I have one more here, but I'm going to hold on to that till next week, just because it's we're getting a little long here since we were off for a week. We'll move into our What the Fuck corner, those stories that just make us wonder how human beings have existed this long. The first one is kind of interesting. Oh, how about people that threw chainsaws at cops during a high-speed chase?
What?
What?
There's a video of a car chase in Duluth, Georgia that occurred where somebody was trying to get away and were chucking chainsaws and a weed whacker. It's part of a group of 19 items 2 men stole from a store during a smash and grab.
What did they steal? Some
they robbed Home Depot.
Garden truck?
I don't quite know. I have a video here, but it's not playing for some reason. There's some kind of error. I found the story on jalopnik.com. There are a few words to describe this. Unfortunately, the video is not playing. But they did throw stolen chainsaws at police cars during the chase.
Well, whatever you got to hand, I guess.
It doesn't say what store they hit. The men ditched the vehicle when they ran out of garden tools to fling, and have not been apprehended.
They're considered armed and dangerous.
I'm going to assume that the chainsaws weren't running as they were thrown.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know what additional damage they would have done had they been, but yeah.
That would have made the whole thing horrific, but kind of Nick Cage movie awesome. I do have a list here of the 12 worst Draculas of all time, according to IO9 and Rob Bricken.
Oh, this should be interesting.
Twilight on that list?
We'll see. It's 12 worst Draculas of all time. I assume they mean movies.
Oh.
The number one they have here was on Blade Trinity. It was directed by David Goyer, the guy who's in charge of the DC movie franchise right now.
Uh-huh. I have heard that was bad.
I saw Dracula in that movie. He was unimpressive. He didn't feel like a full-blown villain in that one. He just kind of felt like it was one of the actors from Prison Break who felt like he was going through the motions. Actually, he was the guy who played John Doe in that TV series a long time ago. The number 2...
John Doe and the Pretender?
No, John Doe and John Doe.
Oh.
Yeah, the 2-season TV show.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They added at the end of the paragraph, to be honest, though, nothing was more shameful and non-Dracula-like than this Dracula's decision to call himself Drake.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Number 2 is not something I'm familiar with. It's from Dracula versus Frankenstein. It says, quote, a debacle of Ed Woodian proportions, 1971's Dracula versus Frankenstein doesn't really feature Dracula and Frankenstein fighting, but that's the least of its troubles. It began as a generic horror movie starring neither Frankenstein nor Dracula, but the film fell apart before it was completed, and the director decided to add Frankenstein to the footage. Then that fell apart, and the director decided to add Dracula as well, by casting a former stockbroker named Robert Engle as the king of vampires, supposedly because he thought Engle looked right. If you watch the above video, you can see Engle looks less like Dracula, more like Mr. Cotter from late 70s sitcom Welcome Back, Cotter. Anyways, this Dracula wants to bring the Frankenstein monster back to life for reasons unknown, and as soon as Frank wakes up, he attacks Dracula and is forced to kill him, and doesn't pay attention to the time. The sun comes up and he dies. It's all really dumb. Unquote.
You think something that had lived for centuries would get to know when he has to go to bed.
The number 3 on this list, has anyone watched Dracula 2000?
I have.
No.
Okay, this is about the Dracula that was played by Judas Iscariot. He made number 3 of the 12 worst 12 worst depictions of Dracula of all time. Quote, Dracula 2000 isn't great, but it's not close to the worst movie on this list. And the twist it gives Dracula is that he's actually Judas Iscariot, who God punished with awesome vampire powers for betraying Jesus, which explains his aversion to Christian iconography and silver, after the silver he was paid for ratting out his divine buddy. It's actually pretty interesting. But as an adaptation of Dracula, it's insane. Also insane, Gerard Butler's Dracula's ability to have sex so hard he and his paramour float until they hit the ceiling. Unquote.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Okay. Number 4 is from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV series.
Oh my god, yes.
I didn't know Dracula was in that series. I thought I watched it.
It's, in my opinion, the worst one of the worst episodes.
Okay, well, I'm assuming these are not in order of worst to best. They're just 12 they picked.
Yeah.
It says here, quote, although not a comedy show, Buffy played the mythic villain for laughs by making him a long-haired and righteous vampire with massive ego from his place in pop culture and his noble heritage. This was cemented by the way he made comic relief character Xander his thrall. But Buffy didn't relegate him totally to a joke, since he had strange powers other vampires didn't, which ended up being a major plot point in the later Buffy comics, and even managing to get Buffy to begin to drink his blood. But even with his powers and ego, this Dracula was infinitely more ridiculous than he was intimidating or evil. Unquote.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't yeah.
Okay. Well, number 5, I don't know shit about this. Dracula's dog?
Never heard of it.
Dracula's dog. Says, quote, Dracula isn't in much of Dracula's dog. Really, he's only there to bite a dog, turning it into a vampire so it can assault people's pets later. But why would Dracula do this? Well, because this dog prevents Dracula, in bat form, from drinking a peasant woman, and Dracula was so pissed that he turned the dog instead. Suffice it to say, any movie in which a pet can outmaneuver the king of vampires is a shitty Dracula movie, unquote. That's the worst thing I've ever heard. That's literally the worst thing I've ever heard. And I've read about Bête Noire. I've watched Van Helsing. That made number 6 on this list.
I like that portrayal. It was weird.
Quote, to be fair, the Dracula of Stephen Sommers' big-budget monster action movie is pretty evil. But for some reason, this Dracula is really interested in being a father, even though his bat babies need werewolf or Frankenstein power to be born. And also, he and Van Helsing are brothers, chosen by God and Satan to do stuff. It's weird and overcomplicated, and still somehow not particularly interesting, much like the movie itself. And why the hell does this Dracula need to be killed by a werewolf? Sigh, unquote.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
When read out like that, yeah, it struggles.
Number 7 is actually Christopher Lee's performance in Dracula, Prince of Darkness.
Just because...
Quote, I'm sorry.
I was going to say because Christopher Lee is in it doesn't mean it's good.
I'm guessing that's where he goes here. Quote, I hate to badmouth any of Christopher Lee's performances as Dracula in his Hammer horror movies, but for some reason, Lee has absolutely 0 lines in the second movie in the series. He just hissed. It's hard to portray Dracula as being of supreme evil and horror when he has the communication skills of an alley cat. Lee supposedly refused to say his dialogue because the lines were so dumb, but the screenwriter says he didn't write any, unquote. I would believe Lee over the screenwriter, frankly.
I put no dialogue for my Dracula.
No, Dracula's more scary when he just hisses a lot. I'd be more of the mind that Lee just sat down and said, I wouldn't read this shit. Number 8, I've never heard of, and I'm glad I haven't. Billy the Kid versus Dracula.
What?
Oh, my.
Quote, even if you buy the idea that Dracula has willingly chosen to wander the American West in the 1800s, which does not seem like something that would be up Dracula's alley, watching Dracula become a ranch owner is about as sad and bizarre as the house guarded by a dog. At least he's obsessed with Billy the Kid's petty fiancée Betty in an appropriately Dracula-ish way. But nothing is more pathetic than Billy shooting Dracula in the climactic final battle to no avail, followed by Billy throwing his gun at Dracula and knocking him out for an easy staking. Unquote. Holy crap, that sounds awful.
Wow. Why did he have to go staking him? He just wanted to have his ranch.
Why couldn't you just, cross your genres a little bit and have Billy the Kid fire silver bullets? I guess they didn't think that far ahead. Number 9 is Dario Argento's Dracula. I don't know this either.
Me neither.
Quote, I'm still boggled that the master of Italian horror movies such as Suspiria and Phenomena made such a neutered, bad adaptation of Dracula. The movie in general isn't scary, nor is Thomas Kretschmann's titular vampire. He seems like he's waiting in line at a bank more than he does plotting to unleash evil upon the world. Here's how messed up this movie's Dracula is. He actually becomes a giant praying mantis monster at some point, and it's still not the dumbest thing that Dracula does in the movie. No, that would be when it's revealed that Dracula actually paid for the school in his little town, because obviously, if Dracula is famous for something, it's his charitable nature and championing of education. Unquote.
Wow.
Holy shit, there was a Vampirella movie?
Yep, I heard of that.
Oh wow, I didn't know about this. This made number 10 on the list. Quote, I suppose a movie that posits Dracula as an alien from a vampire planet named Draculon who came to Earth after killing some kind of vampire council has given up all pretense of accuracy. I can move past the fact that the Who's Roger Daltrey is playing Dracula as a poor man's Lestat, subsuming the original character for Anne Rice's more popular vampire. I could even forgive the fact that Dracula's stage name is Jamie Blood. But what I cannot forgive is Dracula's ponytail in the above video of Jamie Blood's performance. Burn in hell, Vampirella movie, unquote. Number 11 is Blood of Dracula's Castle. Quote, as the title may indicate, this is a deeply stupid movie. Count Dracula and his countess are squatting in a castle in Arizona. Take a minute to read that sentence. Then the original owner of this Arizona castle comes back, and Dracula tries to get him to sell it or leave. That's it. That's the movie. Oh, although the original owner is apparently either a serial killer or a werewolf, if that matters, unquote.
Why is there a castle in Arizona?
Why is the Dracula movie about a land deal? The last one on this list is a Dracula TV series that was on NBC recently.
There was?
Well, I think I heard about that.
It was a 10-episode season, and it turned out to be the only season. Quote, let me be totally clear. NBC's 10-episode Dracula TV series starring Jonathan Rhys-Meyers was a complete joy to watch. It was massively entertaining, and I loved it. But as an adaptation of Dracula, it was terrible. Unless you remember Dracula being the hero, posing as an American industrialist, trying to invent wireless bulbs and buying cooling companies, all as part of his insane scheme to kill the members of an ancient secret society who murdered his wife back in the 1600s. But this show is proof positive that inaccuracy doesn't necessarily mean bad.
If only someone could remove the metaphorical stake from this show's heart to give us a second season, unquote. I don't know, that sounds unwatchable, just in description.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of things that in description sound bizarre, but are actually not.
Okay. How about Haagen-Dazs wine ice cream?
Wait, what? That's a Dracula?
In Japan,
no, we've moved on, apparently.
Okay.
We moved on. Haagen-Dazs in Japan has what they call Antoinette. It is an ice cream that features a, quote, high-grade red wine, according to a Japanese website called Nari Nari. The wine comes from Bordeaux, France. It has a glittery edible foil sprinkled a pink red wine sauce on top of the mellow-flavored wine ice cream. The bottom layer is a custard-flavored ice cream, and there is sponge cake sandwiched in the middle. I can't tell if this is awesome or just horrid.
I'm gonna try it.
The ice cream contains 0.6% alcohol, which is far, far less than this wine ice cream, and certainly won't get you tipsy. This is not my speed.
I might try it, maybe.
You have to import it.
I probably won't.
Have you guys seen that NBA 2K15 is out?
Mm-mm.
It has an interesting ability that it will connect with a console or webcam's camera to scan your face and add you as a player in the game. It's an interesting idea. You know, it gets people in the game.
Okay.
I think I heard about that.
Yeah. The reason why it made it into the What the Fuck corner is because of the URL I just sent you.
That's great.
Oh, wow. Those are some horrible misreads.
Really? The one at the top left looks like E.T.'s getting ready to jam it in your face. What about the top right? It looks like the guy from Mask.
The one on the left of the top right.
Yeah, with the eyes
like
in the wrong place.
He's drooling or something. It's like, whoa.
Well, you notice his eye is next to his nose and in his temple, right?
Yeah. This is just... Wow.
This is nightmarish. I imagine this is what some of the things roaming around hell look like. And I got one for you that's completely awful. And it's only because at first look, it just looks like a minor screw-up, like he's got Down syndrome or something. On second look, it's the mouth that bothers me.
Yeah.
Like he's sitting there smiling at you, and then the second mouth opens up to eat your soul.
I think it would have been more appropriate to put it up on his forehead or something.
I need to move on because I'm starting to get the willies. Football season is fast and furious. We all know what's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
People can be utter dicks. There's a Lions fan who's been banned from 4 field events.
Really? Wow.
Yep. And it's for a reason that you can actually get arrested in Los Angeles. Laser pointer.
Oh.
This fan was using a laser pointer to try and distract the Buffalo Bills players last, I think it's Sunday before the 9th. The fan used the laser during a game where the Bills won 17-14.
So obviously he didn't do any good.
Well, I don't know. The Bills kicker attempted a few field goals, including a 50-yard miss in the third quarter. So he might have had something to do with that. The Bills head coach, Doug Marrone, said he saw the laser a couple times, and quarterback Kyle Orton noticed it during the game on the field. So the guy was very active with it. So this unidentified fan has been thrown out of Ford Field. If he shows up again, he can be arrested. I'm glad for that, though. You know, I love being a fan and shit, but there is some stuff that is just stupid.
Yeah. You don't want to permanently injure somebody just to win a game.
Remember last time we got together, we talked about the wife of a comic book lady who said that the selfie nature of fans is a problem at conventions lately?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a website, a political website called The Week. I don't know if it's related to Newsweek or something. They say that the rise of cosplay is a bad sign for the economy.
Why?
Why?
According to James Petroskis, I'm probably butchering that name. Petakosis. The subline actually summarizes his article pretty well. Quote, dressing up like Wolverine or Cersei Lannister is probably more fun than scouring the classifieds for menial jobs, unquote.
They seem to have misunderstood exactly how much money this can require.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is somebody who watched Heroes of Cosplay and assumes that every cosplayer simply does cosplay for a living.
Yeah, if I recall, it requires hundreds of dollars to get some of these costumes put together.
Dude, most award-winning cosplays probably cost more than the awards they win.
True.
That's just reality.
Yeah.
In the second paragraph, he says, quote, then again, they do have plenty of time to dress up like wand-wielding sailor girls and cybernetic alchemist soldiers from the colorful world of anime cartoons and manga comics. Indeed, Japan's lost decades have coincided with a major spike in people escaping to virtual worlds of games, animation, and costume play. Masahiro Yamada, a sociology professor at Chuo University in Tokyo, recently told the Financial Times, here, even the young and poor can feel as though they are a hero, unquote. It's hard to blame them. Yeah, it's hard to blame them after all. It's not that these young adults in Japan are resisting becoming productive members of the economy. It's just that there aren't enough opportunities for them. So an increasingly large number of them spend an increasingly large amount of time living in make-believe fantasy worlds, pretending they're someone else, somewhere else. This is a very bad thing for the Japanese economy, unquote. Oh, I'm sorry, the third paragraph actually kind of nails the whole thing. Well, and guess what? America has a growing number of make-believe cosplay heroes, too. Many of the 130,000 people who attend the San Diego Comic-Con every year invest big bucks in elaborate outfits as a way of showing off their favorite Japanese characters, as well as those from American superhero movies, comics, and genre television shows, such as Game of Thrones.
Where were those people? I didn't see them.
And this trend is growing. The crowd at Comic-Con was one-third this size in 2000. In 2013, the Sci-Fi Channel even created a reality show about the trend, Heroes of Cosplay, unquote. Okay, so we found out where he gets his info from, obviously. Because Steve, Jesse, you guys were there with me at Comic-Con. Didn't see that many cosplayers.
Yeah.
There was
the most I saw was 3 Deadpools.
Yeah, there was a good number of them. I mean, Steve took pictures for me outside the Marvel group. Good number of them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as far as an overall percentage of the populace going to Comic-Con, that's not who was there.
Nope.
Cosplay in an anime convention? Oh, yeah, I can run upwards of like 40% at a bad day. Cosplay at Comic-Con? 5-10% maybe.
Yeah, 10 tops.
Yeah. So this guy's is taking cosplay as a sign of economic trouble. How about cosplay as a sign of people relaxing for once?
Right.
Ah, fuck. Speaking of stupidity and media, Lindsay Lohan has expanded her lawsuit against the makers of Grand Theft Auto 5.
She had a lawsuit?
Yeah.
Yeah, she claims that one of the images it uses promotional for the one of the pieces of art they generated was based on a picture of her from a while ago. So they claim that her likeness is in the video game. She's suing Take-Two and Rockstar Games. The thing is, she had a picture where she looked kind of similar to the piece of art that was eventually generated. I don't see enough comparisons here, and I think this is just her lawyer taking her for a ride. Let alone, if I was Rockstar, I'd sue her for defamation. I'm sending you a URL of a side-by-side that was put out. This
I won't be surprised if it was just a lawyer doing all the work and she has no idea.
Oh, no, she's the one that actually signed the documents, dude. This is her thing. She's put out tweets about this. I sent you guys the URL. You can take a look. There are some similarities to be had there, but not enough to call this a dead smash.
Yeah, there's plenty of blondes in red bikinis.
I live in L.A. You throw a stone, you hit one.
Yeah.
Let alone, I think Grand Theft Auto 5 takes place in a fictional city based on Los Angeles.
So it's like...
Is Lindsay Lohan a blonde? Because if she's a redhead, then technically they have nothing to do with this. I mean, you could argue she's been...
I have no idea.
I think she's the natural redhead. I have no idea what color her hair is. In that picture, apparently she is a blonde.
She's been a blonde for a while, but I think because... wouldn't that be an easy argument to get out of it? She's a redhead, we made ours a blonde. What she does with her dye job is her business.
I don't pay attention to those people. So.
Oh, really? Well, Halloween is coming, and apparently the sun knows Halloween is coming.
Why? Is it Blood Moon?
No, this picture was taken on around October 12th, at least according to IO9. Take a look at this picture of the sun that was taken through a couple filters.
Oh, I saw that.
Wow.
This reminds me of the freaky moon. This reminds me of that freaky-ass moon in, like, Majora's Mask or something.
It's Steve, a moon troll face.
Steve, Jesse, the Hive have made it to the sun. We got to get on our Xboxes, man.
Oh, dude.
I'm already there.
This means Norman Osborn is 1. This is biologically. I didn't know this was possible. There was an Italian couple who was out at the ocean having sex.
Yeah.
They became bound at the genitals.
What? What? The heat friction caused the sand to become glass or something?
No, I said they were in the ocean.
Oh.
As it turns out, they became bound at the genitals due to suction. Because of the water that was between them as they were going in and out, it created something close to an airtight seal.
Oh.
And one time I'm going to guess, one time he thrust deep and then he found out he couldn't get out.
Oh, that's horrible. But at the same time...
And the worst part is, when something like this occurs, the worst part is what happens is the male, the blood vessels will expand more because there's no air going in there, so the member becomes more engorged. Therefore, it became even harder to get him out of her.
Oh, my.
They had to be taken to an emergency room after they flagged down a woman who was nice enough to bring a towel so they could get out of the ocean. And they used an injection of a muscle relaxer usually used to dilate the uterus of pregnant women.
On him?
Hey, at least they had a solution.
Could be worse.
I mean, the only thing I could consider worse than that is if they say, nope, you're just stuck that way.
Oh, that's no good.
The only thing that could be more awkward than that is as they're sitting there, she's getting the injection to dilate her uterus and make her let go, and all of a sudden she looks up and says, by the way, John, I'm pregnant.
That's what you call it.
And he just looks back at her and says, wait, right now? Last bit of what the fuck news. What?
I was going to say, it doesn't seem as bad as that one story we told about the two teenagers that got bound because one was allergic to latex.
The head in the wall? Oh, okay.
Oh, the head in the wall, yeah, that one was pretty good too.
Well, the last WTF I have is a happy one. Robert Downey Jr. got a surprise.
Okay.
He did a BBC One radio that he was at his home and somebody appeared, a delivery man appeared and told him that thing he ordered arrived. He didn't order anything. What happened was Marvel and Disney mailed him the 30-foot A that survived the Chitauri attack on Stark headquarters.
Really?
I like that. I remember seeing that.
To him. He says, quote, on the last Avengers, there's this scene where there's this A, which is probably 30 feet tall. And I'm looking at it, and we're shooting in England. And I go, I need that in my office in Venice. About 2 weeks ago, a wheeler showed up, and I'm like, what the heck is this doing here? And they go, this is the A you asked for. And I go, they brought it? So now we have this massive Avengers A that will be prominently placed. Unquote.
That's awesome.
If he affixes that to his home in Malibu, I'm going to find where the fuck he lives.
It's like the ultimate movie prop souvenir.
That'd be the biggest fan moment I could have. Look, there's Tony Stark! And that's when he suddenly calls the cops and I'm arrested and you find me on a video somewhere. Okay, so this week we decided to discuss changing characters. A couple weeks ago, Captain America 25 came out, which is the first appearance of Sam Wilson as Captain America. And Thor #1 came out, which debuted the new Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with Captain America, since that's the one we knew about coming for months now.
Right.
Because some people can't keep a secret. The cover kind of confused me. Because after all this time of hyping who your new Captain America is, why do you need a cover that says who is the new Captain America?
Yeah. Well, not to mention, in the actual story, he's just like, this can't be a surprise for you guys. Y'all knew it was me.
Yeah. I don't know if that was a writer adding a last-minute change to the bubble just because of all the announcements that were made. But, I mean, all the promo pictures led to this guest months ago, which led to them revealing the guest months ago. But let alone we knew that from all the promo pictures that there was a new black guy holding the shield. So why on this cover is like the Black Widow and Rogue and Spider-Woman and the Scarlet Witch and all these people have no hope of being this new black guy on this cover?
I don't know, other than, somebody might not have gotten word.
Yeah.
Dude, the cat's out of the bag, right? What? I spent all this time on this cover?
The issue itself is not a good point for people to jump in if they're looking for a new moment because it's the last issue in an existing story, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was really confused about what was going on.
Yeah, basically the girl that Sam Wilson's formed a relationship with is the daughter of Arnim Zola, and he managed to convince her that they were they didn't trust her and she ran off with him. Meanwhile, his other genetic progeny, who is Steve Rogers' adopted son, has stayed behind somehow. The whole thing is very soap opera-ish now that I've said that out loud.
Comic books are soap operas for nerds.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, that's wrestling, actually. But Steve Rogers' son, Ian, is going to become the new Nomad. He's going to be the new Captain America's partner, or assistant, or ally, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Bucky.
Maybe that's more. The writing just kind of jumps back and forth. I'm kind of confused how Iron Man ended up here, since Captain America knew before he lost the super soldier serum about what the Illuminati is doing, and he vowed to hunt him down. The editorial storytelling is a bit off here.
I agree. I was very confused about some things.
It is kind of odd, though, that now that they've written Steve Rogers is growing old, they suddenly, returned his girlfriend who's aged several years, so now his relationship, I guess you could say, continues.
Yeah, an appropriate separation of ages.
I only say that's odd because I can never, as much as they've made this change, I can't picture this being full-time unless the third Captain America movie is the death of Captain America. Because if it's going to be Chris Evans, walking away into the sunset or handing over the shield to somebody, that's the only question people are going to keep asking when they buy the new comics is, where's the blonde guy? Who's the black guy with the shield?
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a disconnect there I don't know if they'll be able to fix. The reason for Jet Black to run off with Arnim Zola was pretty weak to begin with. It was like grade school psychology, really.
Yeah. Overall, I wasn't really convinced by the whole thing.
Yeah, it wasn't a well-written issue. It just seemed like it was there to set up the pieces for Sam Wilson's new turn as Cap.
Pretty much. I did like the humor and all the Hawkeye bashing, though.
Yeah. that whole scene was great.
I also like the Vision showing of saying that mini chimichangas do not. They emerge much like fire.
What, diarrhea? Androids get that? And gas. Oh, horrible gas. That's why we got divorced. I was like, wow, that was actually really good.
What was it? I like that. You're kidding? Is that a joke? You think you hold a copyright on capering antics? So apparently Vision can tell a joke, at least. It's nice to see he can stand in close proximity to the Scarlet Witch and not try and hit her again.
Yeah.
The reveal of Captain America, just because of all the things we knew going in, was just underwhelming, unfortunately.
Yeah, I really didn't get a sense of awe. It was just like, okay, it's done with, now we can get on with some other story.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Do you think Sam Wilson will be long-term?
I don't know.
I would like him to be honest.
It looks like they're setting him up. I mean, they definitely have some long-term plots to be going into. I don't know what this whole mole in the Avengers is going to, lead up to, but
that's an interesting question: is who the mole could be?
And since they just showed us like a page full of people that it could be,
I mean, I said I thought it was kind of well planned. The fact that they just had like every single freaking Avenger, ever at the thing. It wasn't like a big tell as to who this mole could be. I mean, it could be anybody at this point.
Or it could be a former Avenger, for all we know. It's just unfortunate that the list is so long.
Yeah.
They have set up some stuff. They need to do better to pull people into the idea of Sam Wilson as Captain America. The last issues, he's dealt with this crisis. He a guy with no powers and just a specialized suit took a bomb into the air. Gutsy fucking move. And survived, which is cool. But he's got to have more than that.
At least from this one issue, it seemed rather boring.
Yeah, and that's the worry I've had, is that the Falcon has long been on my list of least interesting Avengers. He hasn't done anything wrong, but they haven't shown a lot to tell what he could do without those wings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and he doesn't have the super soldier serum.
Right. They made a big point of that as well. So is that shield as effective in his hands, I wonder?
I would not think so, because...
I won't expect him to be flinging it around, but he can certainly hold it and wield it properly enough. The shield itself does what does a lot of the work.
That's right. It doesn't do the It doesn't vibrate his arm off or anything like that.
Yeah, it is made of vibranium, which apparently his wings are made of now too.
Yeah. To be fair, though, he could be the first Captain America that could actually lead into battle. Steve Rogers, as intimidating of a fighter as he is, he often gets carried by other people when they're on their way somewhere, including the Falcon.
Because he's usually running in at top speed, maybe 50 miles an hour.
Not running at top speed. I mean, what do you often see in these things? There's Thor flying by with his hammer. There's a Quinjet full of Avengers. There's Falcon carrying Captain America. It always ends up that way because Rogers can't fly. At least this Cap can actually lead the charge.
Be the first target.
I consider this change for change's sake. Some people would say that, oh my God, they just had to put a minority in the Captain America's mask. It's not a matter of that.
No.
Given the right stories, though, this could be as big as when Moon Knight got his own series. Moon Knight was a B-lister for a long time until he got his own series. Somebody figured out how to write the guy compelling, and all of a sudden he's a much better known character. Let alone it could be as big to... This move could be as big to the Falcon as Luke Cage could be when he got in the Avengers.
Mm.
I mean, Steve knows especially, that guy was like forever C-list until he got a chance to shine in that series.
Yep.
So this could be huge, but they're going to have to start fast, unfortunately. I don't think people are going to have a lot of patience for this to find its footing.
Yeah, I'm just hoping they don't go the route of, like when Superman got his new powers, and everybody just starts bitching, bring it back, and stuff like that.
I think Marvel fans are a little more lenient for that stuff.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think comics
are fanboys.
Yeah.
I mean, people were already yelling when they found out Steve Rogers wasn't going to be in the mask for a while. It's not like Steve Rogers has been the only Captain America. They just haven't had a black one before. There's been like John Walker and a couple others who have all gone insane in their own right. Walker's the only one that's actually stayed in some sort of mask resembling Captain America. The U.S. agent, if you recall.
Right.
So I see a lot of possibility here, but they're going to have to make the next couple of issues pretty grand and show how Wilson can handle leading.
Yeah, because that is one of the other things that they brought up, is that, Cap was a soldier. Sam Wilson is...
He's a soldier.
He is a soldier, but he doesn't normally assume a leadership role. It's more of a counseling role.
He's usually strong support.
Yeah, he needs to prove that he can lead.
Yeah, he's often the guy that the Avengers look to when other people are knocked down for help, but it is kind of telling when he's never actually the first one asked for help.
Yeah, well, and the other thing, too, is that, you've got Steve Rogers sitting back in the mansion supposedly tossing you advice.
Mm-hmm.
That could actually be a distraction.
That's true. Then that's the biggest worry, I think, is that this Cap needs his own voice. He can't just be Steve Rogers with midnight skin. He's got to be something different.
Yeah, agreed.
So, yeah, it was an unimpressive start. I see possibilities, but they're just going to have to show more if they're going to keep readers. Let's move over to Thor. This first issue dealt with a lot of the fallout of Original Sin, how Nick Fury somehow made Thor unworthy of his hammer with a single word. I
actually tend to buy the theory that it's not Thor, it is the hammer.
Well, the hammer, I don't think it has to do just with the wielder, though. I mean, the hammer has some level of sentience. That pretty much has been shown in small and large degrees over the histories of comics.
Right.
But I do think it has to do more with the wielder and whether or not they feel actually worthy. And worthy and deserving are two different words.
True.
And whatever little secret that Fury knew that he made Thor remember obviously makes him feel unworthy of the hammer no matter how much he wants it. I wonder what that secret could be, though.
I don't know, because it looks like the way that they were showing it, I'm not even sure if he can remember what Fury whispered to him.
Well, I believe he remembers it, but I don't think he wants to impart it. If this is something that embarrassing, it's got to be something really deep.
Yeah.
So you have my curiosity as to what it could be. I almost feel that's a bigger story than who the new Thor is.
Yeah.
In a way. It seems a little bit obvious as to who it might be now.
Yeah.
In reading the book, there does only seem to be one lady on the list.
Yeah.
And actually, there's only two I could think of. It's either Freya or Sif. And Freya was the one who was downtrodden the whole time.
Yep.
But she was the one who kept talking up the need that Earth has for a god of thunder.
Mm-hmm.
So she seemed to be the one that had the idea of the responsibility down to a science anyway. I did like the nods that Marvel took with classic mythology in this book. Now that Thor can't fly with a hammer, he picked up Jarmborn, his celestial killing axe, and rode one of his flying goats into battle. Odin had Hugin and Munin on the horns of his helm for a little while, whispering secrets. They actually seem to give a shit about the mythology,
which is nice.
Yeah, and in this issue, we also saw how Thor lost that arm.
Yep.
We kept seeing the fallen Thor in promos with one metal arm. Now we see where it came from. I wonder if that metal arm came straight off the Destroyer armor.
Be interesting.
Yeah. But the thing that's the most telling about how short the list of people who is the new Thor could be, simply the fact that the hammer is stuck on the moon and whoever picked it up wasn't wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
So obviously no human picked up this hammer.
Yeah.
I'm seriously going to doubt it's Angela because she's too bloodthirsty to be worthy of the power of Thor.
Oh, yeah.
And unfortunately, Jesse, I don't think it's Valkyrie because Valkyrie is actually one of the names in Dr. Doom's new Avengers lineup.
Yeah, no, I already crossed her off the list as soon as I finished reading that.
Yeah, so it seems highly likely this is Freya.
Yeah.
I wonder how this will play out in the movies, or if this will play out in the movies, considering they just removed Renee Russo as Freya.
Yeah, that is a question.
You know what? Then again, I could be barking up the wrong tree simply because it looks like when she transforms into Thor, she goes through a rather strong physical change, so they could just cast two actresses.
I don't think they'll do that, though.
I'm only spitballing. I don't have an absolute answer here because a lot of people are wondering, with the advent of this new Thor, are they going to change the movies? Does this mean Chris Hemsworth is not getting re-upped because they need to cast a new Thor? It's a viable question at any rate.
Yeah,
it's definitely happened before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it also relieves a problem that people have noticed with the Avengers lineup and how male-heavy it is. And this would add a tremendously powerful female cast member if they follow through with it in the movies.
Right.
So it adds a bunch of questions. I would be sorry to lose Hemsworth as an actor, but I could see why they would make the change. I will say the villains they had for this first issue were pretty impressive, between the Frost Giants and Malekith the Accused.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like every one of Thor's worst nightmares picked the moment where he's at his lowest to strike.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I like this a lot more than I like Captain America 25. This was a better combination of character moments. It was explained better as to how the characters ended up where they were.
Yeah.
And, it was also a good show of the capabilities of both the former Thor and the idea that this new one may have something more powerful under the sleeve. I wonder how the heroes of the Marvel Universe are going to react when this one makes its debut.
I don't know. Especially the Avengers. It's like,
I'll be honest,
they've managed to build up a certain rapport, so...
If Tony didn't go, super evil, I'd say there would be some snarky whip from him. Or at least from Hawkeye.
You know what, though? Considering the history of Thor in comic books, the fact that it's sometimes been a human named Donald Blake, sometimes it's been another human, Eric Masterson, sometimes it's been an alien, Beta Ray Bill. For all I know, the first time this female Thor lands and screams, "I am Thor," was it like Sam Wilson is going to look at Bruce Banner, who just says, "Fuck again." But yeah, in rereading the panels, it does seem pretty obvious that Freya is the new goddess of thunder. Especially as how put upon she was by Odin, and just about every word out of his mouth was misogynistic and insulting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As if she just had no place at all in the pantheon, regardless of the fact that she's queen. So, yeah, I guess we can say we know who the new Thor is with, 95% accuracy, I'm going to guess?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This seems easier for me to read at this point. I'm not a Thor reader, but I would like to know more about this character. And I think that's a successful debut because they gave us the character, but they also gave us so little actual information that we want to come back and find out a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
It invites you to read at least the second issue.
Especially with the way they left the original Thor. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's not likely to die, but they did leave him in a pretty dire place.
Yeah, it's kind of a double cliffhanger right there.
Yeah. I did like the little nod at the end when whomever that is picked up the hammer and the inscription changed from he to she.
Yep.
I don't know if somebody changed the enchantment or if this is her way of saying "fuck you, Odin."
It might be the hammer just saying like I said, the hammer has some level of sentience. It's pretty much like the power rings for the Green Lanterns.
I was afraid you were going to say the Power Morphers for the Power Rangers.
Yeah, it could be the hammer basically going, "Oh, you're gonna insult me and threaten to unmake me, and yeah, we'll just give your wife the power."
I wonder if this will also play into the scene that I've heard about from Age of Ultron. Someone imparted the scene that was aired during Comic-Con was that it was the Avengers hanging around in an after-battle party of some sort. They were drinking, laughing. Everyone was taking turns trying to move Thor's hammer, including Tony Stark in full Iron Man armor. And at one point, Captain America puts his hands on the handles. He's pulling. It's not moving. Thor's laughing. All of a sudden, the hammer comes off the table an inch, and Thor's smile disappears, and the game ends. He basically pulled a "screw you guys, I'm going home." So, I don't know. I'd almost want to see those freaky-ass panels when the Hulk is picking up the hammer and swinging it.
You assume he can pick it up.
Yeah. But this character I would not say is changed for change's sake. I think this is kind of necessary. Thor has been one of the longest-running characters in Marvel's history, and if there was... Thor needs a shakeup about as bad as the Fantastic Four do.
Yeah.
And this would be a serious way to kick some dust off the character, give him some new stories about trying to find his worthiness while this other character takes over. This doesn't rule out a return of Odin's son as the hammer wielder, but it's a strong enough start where I can't say I'm hoping he comes back.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, is Thor limited to his usefulness, of only being the wielder of Mjolnir, or can he actually survive
without it?
Without it.
Considering he has a celestial killing axe, I'd say he's got a good chance of surviving.
Well, it didn't really do him a whole hell of a lot of good at that point.
He traded for a pretty much a BFG. Trade out. Let me get this right. He traded out a very utility purpose weapon for a BFG.
That's true, because this weapon will not have any lightning powers associated with it. It's going to be a giant cleaving axe.
Its sole purpose is to destroy.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, it's just, it doesn't have any extra abilities onto it. It's just it can cut things really well.
You can use it to kill Apocalypse if you want.
Yeah, he added some extra enchantments to his axe to kill Apocalypse and something else.
Yeah, but unless you're fighting Apocalypse, unless you're fighting a god, it's just a really sharp axe. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Everybody else is mortal enough as it is. It's not like it really needs anything extra special. And, I enchanted it to kill mortals. It already did that.
Well, I don't know, because it leads to all kinds of questions of what that axe is capable of. If it can cut celestial armor, that leaves the idea it can probably slice through adamantium without too much problem either.
Or at least put a mark in the Captain America shield.
Probably.
There's a thought.
So this thing isn't just axe. I mean, it has a lot of possibility to it.
Yeah, but again, only for killing or maiming. Not really. It doesn't let him fly. I wonder if he's going to haul out his second goat now.
When it comes down to it, though, that's a lot of what the Norse pantheon is killing and maiming.
Well, yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, you guys have read the two issues. Would you say this is change for change's sake, or would you say this is actually story change?
I believe it's story change, but, the Captain America needs a little more substance.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I haven't been reading either of these, so I don't know where their stories were going. Mm-hmm. I see more storytelling possibilities from the Thor change than I do from the Captain America change. But either way, I mean, as long as they have stories, they have an idea of where they're going. It's not. I mean, anything can be considered change for change's sake. It just depends on, if the person didn't like where it was going, and they decided, nope, that's not working, and we're just going to move on, and we're going to try this other thing, that you can't call that change for change's sake.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, the person writing the story is the one that has to be the determining factor as far as that goes.
Well, they aren't the only determining factor, unfortunately, because sales will determine it as well. You know, if a year down the road Sam Wilson as Captain America isn't pushing books, they'll probably find a way to write Steve Rogers back in. The thing is, though, I think a lot of people, if that occurs, they will write it off as just, oh, they made this temporary change to try and bring in black readers or something. And sometimes failed stories have an effect just as much as reader sales.
Right.
Or I should say bad stories have an effect on reader sales, which has an effect on the story. You know, if you're going to look at what, just prior existence and what you call it, nostalgia as just enough to keep things as they are, then why the hell is the Fantastic Four getting canceled?
Mm.
Nostalgia will only take you so far as long as people get those warm, fuzzy feelings. If your story sucks, your story sucks.
Yeah.
And I can see the argument as to people just making changes to try and get different readers, but after all, isn't that what comic books should be trying to do?
Yeah.
Now, you can't depend on your existing fan base because your existing fan base gets older, gets less interested, dies.
Yeah, I don't know why everyone seems to have such an aversion to.
Some people don't like the idea. Yeah, some people hate the idea of losing their childhood. It's like, I'm a Transformers fan. I get upset every time someone tells me there was nothing better than the first generation of Transformers. There's a shit ton of things better than the first generation of Transformers. Subsequent series are better than the first generation of Transformers. You expect me to believe that no design can ever change. Okay, so all these hyper-advanced robots are going to spend the next 4 decades hiding as cars and trucks from 1984. Fuck you.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous. I'm
kind of attached to those old things, but yeah, I'm enjoying the change with these guys.
Well, I like the original Transformers. You know, the designs affected a lot of what I thought about design growing up as a kid. Mm-hmm. However, I still need to grow up to the point and just say sooner or later the story has to change.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, we read what bad stories there were in that series. Decepticons taking over radio waves, okay? Creating zombies to construct things even though they have Constructicons, okay? We know this shit is terrible. But, I mean, we're deviating a bit here, and I think it is a good idea for the stories and characters to change to allow for new stories to be told. I think that's the summation of what we're trying to get to.
Mm.
You know, if the characters can only stay the same in so many ways. Even Cyclops had to stop being 16 sooner or later.
Well, they did bring it back 15.
Still, the same point exists, though.
Yeah.
Characters cannot remain static because your story, at that point, your amount of story ideas comes to a finite number. If the characters are always the same,
the story has to evolve, has to move forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sometimes it's for the better, and and sometimes you get a female Thor, and sometimes it's for the worse, and you get Spider-Man undoing his marriage with Deal with the Devil somehow. I guess sooner or later, y'all just got to take the ride and try.
Yeah.
You can't just prejudge it based on a few panels because you'll never find out what's good. It's like Uncanny Avengers. It sounded like an awful idea, but it's probably one of the better stories that's been put out in the last 2 years. Uncanny Avengers on paper sounded like the odd couple of comic books. Look at these clean-cut Avengers. Look at these messy X-Men. Put them in one house together, and what happens?
Yeah.
But the story was good. So, if I had to hand these to somebody and give them one or the other, I'd give them Thor.
Yeah.
It's as far along in story as Captain America is as to where it could confuse you and a few things lost, but it does a better job of catching you up very quickly as to what happened and why Thor Odinson is in the dirt and the moon.
For 3 weeks.
Yeah. That's a story in and of itself. I was trying to think about what to do for next week. How would you guys like a video assignment for next week?
What kind?
3 episodes of Gotham and 3 episodes of The Flash.
I could do that.
Already done. Well, not the 3rd episode of Flash.
I was about to say, the 3rd episode of The Flash hasn't come out. You're a cheater. You're fired. No, these new series have come out. I've watched them. I've got my opinions on them. There are positive and negatives to both, frankly. But I would like to hear from you guys, too, because as we've discussed, I am not the end-all, be-all opinion on anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or so you would like us to think.
We would like to have a discussion, basically, is what he's saying.
Yeah, I think it's time to sit down, watch the shows, and actually see if these are good for people who might not even be DC fans, frankly.
You can give it a shot,
which is pretty obvious that none of us definitively are.
Definitely not.
So I feel it's a good time to give that a shot, since there's enough story to come out that we actually have an opportunity to figure out, would we watch these shows long term, or, would we not? I mean, the first episode, you can make snap decisions, but half the time it's not good. The first couple episodes of Family Guy sucked. I've been watching that for years now. So, next week we'll talk DC TV. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys waiting through all that with us. Have a great weekend. I am Jeremy.
Steve.
Jesse.
And V.
I almost thought he fell asleep there. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry. I was watching this guy who got his arm caught in a bus door after he tried to rob some chick's purse. Get beat on with a stick.
I like how we formed a queue without ever actually officially forming a queue.